Chapter 533. The beast tide couldn't enter the 9 prefectures, so it wreaked havoc in the spirit region of the 9 prefectures. Ordinary forces couldn't stop the beast tide. In just 5 days, the spirit region of the 9 prefectures had fallen into a state of death. Everyone was within reach. As the overlords of the spirit region of the 9 prefectures, the 4 major forces should have stood out. However, at this moment, the 4 major forces couldn't even take care of themselves. How could they have the time to meddle in other people's business? The beast tide didn't have the slightest emotion. There was only one word: slaughter. The spirit region of the 9 prefectures, the forbidden area of the 9 prefectures, was the so-called forbidden area of the beast tide. After listening to Long Fu's words, Longao slowly walked towards the forbidden area of the beast tide. Step by step, he was cautious and alert at all times. No matter what, the forbidden area of the beast tide was the base camp of the beast tide. Who knew what was in the forbidden area of the beast tide? If he was unlucky and died here, wouldn't he suffer a double loss? At this moment, Longao was very worried about the safety of the 9 prefectures and the sect. No matter what, the beast tide was too powerful. Once it entered the 9 prefectures, no one knew what would happen. He hoped that the beast tide wouldn't invade the 9 prefectures. Longao knew very well that as long as the 4 major forces closed the transmission channel in time, the beast tide wouldn't be able to enter the 9 prefectures. Slowly, Longao entered the pitch-black forest. Ancient trees covered the sky and even the sun couldn't be seen. Inside the forbidden area of the beast tide, Longao couldn't feel any temperature. It was as if he was in the depths of ice. Even if he was in the half-saint realm, he couldn't help but shiver. Who is it? At this moment, Longao was startled. Suddenly, there were ghostly cries and howls. Then, a strange aura descended. It seemed to be able to corrode one's soul. Not daring to be careless, Longao immediately channeled all the energy in his body to resist. Even so, the terrifying howls made his mind chaotic. There were a few times when the aura almost invaded his body. The forbidden area of the beast tide was indeed full of danger. Before entering the deepest area of the forbidden area, he was almost instantly killed. If this went on, even if he could reach the deepest area, he would suffer. Longao was a persistent person. No matter what kind of difficulties he encountered, as long as he didn't die, he would persevere. No matter how difficult it was, no matter how dangerous it was. It was precisely because of this that Longao moved forward step by step, resisting the corrosion of the surrounding auras. The chi shield formed by the chi of heaven and earth blocked all the corrosive chi in the surroundings. Only at this moment did Longao truly let out a sigh of relief. Since he had already blocked it, Longao did not hesitate at all. He immediately sped up and shot towards the depths. As he went deeper and deeper, Longao could feel that the corrosive aura around him was getting colder and stronger. If he wasn't careful, he would be corroded. Master, to the left. With regards to Long Fu, Longao did not have the slightest suspicion and immediately shot towards the left. In the deepest part of the forest, there was a mass grave. There were skeletons everywhere. Some belonged to humans, some belonged to spirit beasts. At a glance, there were skeletons everywhere. This was a true field of corpses. Long Fu, who do you mean? Did the beast tide appear from here? Master, of course not. However, this is the only way. In ancient times, there was a chaotic battle here. Warriors and spirit beasts killed each other. It was extremely tragic. In the end, the humans sent out a demon god to wipe out all the people and spirit beasts. In the end, he absorbed all the resentment here. Wipe out all the people and spirit beasts. Hearing this, Longao's heart thumped. Just thinking about it made him realize how terrifying the strength of this human warrior was. Master, this human warrior is called the demon god. In ancient times, he was considered a demon. He killed people without batting an eye and was despised by the world. Long Fu, since this is the case, why did you bring me here? Longao was very curious. Could it be that the demon god had already fallen and Long Fu wanted him to go there to inherit the demon god's position? It was fine if others did not know, But it was impossible for Long Fu not to know. He did not need any inheritance at all. Otherwise, he would have already obtained the divine path inheritance. Why would he go through so much trouble? Master, back then, the demon god accidentally obtained a treasure. This treasure is very heaven-defying. If you can obtain and refine it, it will be of great help to your cultivation. Therefore, Master, you must obtain this treasure. I see. Long Fu, I am very curious about one thing. Since this treasure is so heaven-defying, why did the demon god leave it behind? Master, there's something you don't know. Back when the Fiend Celestial absorbed the grievances here, he was suddenly attacked by a divine beast. The Fiend Celestial was no match for the divine beast and his life was in danger. In that moment of danger, the Fiend Celestial used this treasure to barely seal the divine beast. Hearing this, Longao was delighted. Long Fu, if I can obtain this treasure, won't I be able to obtain a sealed divine beast? Master, this is what I am worried about. Although there is a divine beast sealed in the treasure, if you are not careful, you will be devoured by the divine beast. Long Fu did not continue speaking, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao also became serious. After all, the backlash of a divine beast was no small matter. If he was unlucky and was devoured by the divine beast, he would not even have the chance to regret. Although he was worried, Longao still could not choose to give up. He nodded and asked, "Where is this treasure?" Then, Longao followed Long Fu's guidance all the way to the west. He took a detour and finally stopped in front of a stone wall. Long Fu, the treasure you are talking about, is it inside the stone wall? Master, it is. However, you have to be careful. There is a divine beast of the divine realm sealed in the stone wall. Divine beast of the divine realm? Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao was shocked. Of course, he knew what a divine beast of the divine realm represented. Divine beasts were the same as martial artists. There were 5 realms of the divine path. They were the empty god realm, the spirit focus realm, the man god realm, the earth god realm and the divine realm. It could be said that the divine realm was the pinnacle of the divine path. Longao found it hard to imagine that there was a divine beast of the divine realm sealed in the stone wall in front of him. If that was the case, he had to be careful. Otherwise, if he was devoured by the divine beast, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Fu, what should I do? Master, why don't you refine this stone wall first? After you have completely refined it, I believe you will be able to control the divine beast and obtain this treasure. It would be a lie to say that he was not excited about controlling a divine beast. After all, the divine beast sealed in the stone wall was a divine beast of the divine realm. If he could control it, wouldn't he be able to do whatever he wanted? Longao did not dare to be careless. He released his aura and slowly approached the stone wall. Just as Long Fu said, he had to refine it first. Chapter 534. Longao's aura penetrated the stone wall. Before Longao could react, an unparalleled power suddenly erupted from the stone wall, directly devouring him. Shocked, Longao didn't know what was going on, but he instinctively resisted. But even so, Longao still groaned and flew out, vomiting blood. If it wasn't for the desolate divine body, Longao would have been dead by now. Longao turned around and stopped abruptly. He looked at the stone wall in front of him with a grave expression. Enduring the pain in his body, Longao asked in a grave voice, "Long Fu, what's going on?" Long Fu also sighed. It seemed that Long Fu didn't expect something like this to happen. "Master, your luck is too good. If you didn't condense the desolate divine body, you would have died just now." Longao nodded his head. Regarding this point, Longao naturally knew it clearly. "Master, I never thought that the divine beast sealed in the stone wall would be so powerful that it could even steal your soul through the seal. So that's how it was." Longao finally understood what had happened just now. It turned out that it was the divine beast sealed behind the stone wall that was causing trouble. Longao's expression became more and more grave. The divine beast behind the stone wall was too powerful. It was worthy of being a divine beast at the heavenly god realm. "Long Fu, what should I do now?" "Master, let me think." Even Long Fu couldn't do anything. Longao shrugged helplessly and didn't continue speaking. He then left the dragon seal space. Longao didn't sit and wait for death. He waited for Long Fu to think of a way. Instead, he carefully observed the stone wall in front of him. With the previous lesson, Longao was much more careful. At the very least, he wouldn't get close to the stone wall, nor would he release his aura to get close to the stone wall. Brat, come again if you have the ability. Damn you, I'll kill you. Who is it? If you have the ability to come out, why do you have to sneak around? Hearing the sudden voice, Longao was shocked. Because with his current strength, he actually couldn't sense the slightest bit of the other party's aura. What did this mean? The other party's strength was far beyond his understanding. Ha ha ha, shameless brat, I'm dying of laughter. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Stone wall seal. In an instant, Longao stared fixedly at the stone wall in front of him. His face was extremely stern and cold because he had already sensed that the owner of the voice was the divine beast sealed in the stone wall. Divine beasts, especially heavenly god divine beasts. What are you laughing at? A divine beast sealed by a stone wall? I'm already puzzled. What are you being so arrogant for? You scared me just now. Trash. There wasn't any rage as he had imagined. The stone wall was silent, which made Longao very curious. Could it be that the mythological beast inside the stone wall had become stupid after being scolded by him? What's your name? Longao. Long family disciple? I'm a disciple of the Long family, but I'm not a disciple of the Long family. You have to be clear about this. Longao's meaning was very clear. From the beginning to the end, Longao had never regarded himself as a disciple of the Long family. Not in the past, not now, and definitely not in the future. The mythological beast inside the stone wall seemed to be a little surprised, but it didn't continue to ask this question. Brat, you seem to already know my identity. Although I don't know what kind of mythological beast you are, I can be sure that you're a heavenly god divine beast. Back then, you fought with the demon god and were unfortunately sealed by the demon god. Bullshit, I'm sealed by the demon god. Brat, you're courting death. I don't know the process, I only know the result. What I see now is that you've been sealed in the stone wall and can't come out. Am I wrong? The mythological beast inside the stone wall fell into silence again. At this time, a weathered and helpless voice suddenly sounded from the stone wall. I have to admit that the demon god is indeed very powerful, but it's still not enough to contend with me. If it weren't for this stone wall, I wouldn't have been sealed. I really hate it. Demon god, one day, I, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon, will take your life. 9 Tribulations demonic dragon? Hearing the voice from the stone wall, Longao was shocked. Could it be that the mythical beast sealed in the stone wall was a giant dragon? Brat, you don't have to guess. I'm a member of the dragon clan. Damn you, you don't want to be a disciple of the Long family. So what if you're a divine dragon? I still say the same thing. I'm a disciple of the Long family, not a disciple of the Long family. Ha ha ha, what a Long family disciple. Not a disciple of the Long family? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Hearing Longao's words, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon didn't get angry. Instead, it laughed happily. Brat, I also hate the Long family and the dragon clan. Pretentious things. The dragon clan will perish in the hands of these people sooner or later. He finally got it right. Longao always had a feeling that the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon sealed in the stone wall was not on good terms with the dragon clan. Otherwise, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon would have been furious when he said he wasn't a disciple of the Long family. Brat, you've awakened your special ability. Longao didn't know much about the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon, but he had a general understanding of it after communicating with Long Fu. As the name implied, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was one of the most powerful clans in the dragon clan. It would experience 9 lightning tribulations in its life. Those who succeeded would not only be reborn, but would also have continuous breakthroughs in their strength. Once they reached 9 tribulations, their strength would be earth-shattering. Longao didn't know how many lightning tribulations the 9 tribulations demonic dragon sealed in the stone wall had already experienced, but Longao knew very well that since the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was already in the heavenly god realm, it should have reached 9 tribulations at the very least. Such a terrifying existence would even surpass his ancestor, Long Batian. That's right, I've awakened my special ability. Longao didn't hide this at all. After all, with the 9 tribulations demonic dragon's terrifying strength, it wouldn't be a problem for it to sense his special ability. Good, your talent and potential far surpass 99% of the people in the Long family. Awakening your special ability means that you have the bloodline of your ancestor and it's very pure. In this case, when you transform a second time, a third time, and all the way up to the 9th time, you'll have the terrifying strength of your ancestor. Longao naturally knew who the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was talking about. Longao found it funny. He couldn't imagine whether the 9 tribulations demonic dragon would be scared silly if he summoned the primordial divine dragon now. After all, the primordial divine dragon was the ancestor of the dragon clan and all divine dragons. No matter how powerful the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was, it would only be a joke in front of the primordial divine dragon. Chapter 535. Longao could clearly feel that the 9 tribulations demonic dragon's killing intent towards him had lessened a lot. Even so, Longao still did not dare to relax in the slightest. In any case, Long Fu had just said that the 9 tribulations demonic dragon wanted to seize his soul and break the seal. If he was careless, the consequences would be unimaginable. Boy, since you're not bad, I'll take care of you. How about that? Senior, how will you take care of me? It's very simple. As long as you can help me break the seal, the demon god's treasure will belong to you. How about that? Longao was not surprised at the 9 tribulations demonic dragon's intention because he had already guessed it. The 9 tribulations demonic dragon had been sealed in the stone wall by the demon god for so many years. He would not want to come out unless he was out of his mind. Now that he had finally met him, how could the 9 tribulations demonic dragon give up this opportunity so easily? Boy, are you willing? F***ck Longao cursed fiercely in his heart. Of course, he was unwilling to agree. Who knew if the 9 tribulations demonic dragon would attack him if he released him? Longao knew very well that the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was still a divine beast, and a divine beast at that. Even if the old ancestor was reborn, he would not be a match for the 9 tribulations demonic dragon, let alone him. Senior divine dragon, let's be frank. I'm worried about you. Ha 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 ha, what a straightforward boy. I like your character very much. Well, in that case, I won't say much nonsense. Let's be straightforward. Before Longao could speak, the 9 tribulations demonic dragon continued, Boy, you have to know that if you can help me break the seal, I'll help you break through to the Saint Realm and this stone tablet will still belong to you. It had to be said that the 9 tribulations demonic dragon's offer was indeed very tempting. Longao was also a normal person, so it was impossible for him to resist. However, Longao still did not quite believe the 9 tribulations demonic dragon. I can help you break the seal, but you have to promise me one thing. A demand. Longao actually made a request to a divine beast. If other people knew about this, it was unknown whether they would scold him or not. After all, divine beasts and Shinto martial artists were the true most powerful existences in the world. Under normal circumstances, the 9 tribulations demonic dragon would have attacked the moment he heard a puny human warrior making a request of him. But now, the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was sealed in the stone wall. No matter how displeased he was, he could only endure it for the time being. Kid, tell me what you want. I hope you don't push your luck. Chuckling in his heart, Longao said indifferently, Senior, my request is actually very simple. Senior is too strong. Once I break the seal, Senior will go back on his words. Brat, screw you. I'm a mighty 9 tribulations demonic dragon. How could I go back on my word? I don't care. I have to think about my own life. So, in order to prevent unnecessary trouble, I hope you can give me the divine pill first. After I break the seal and break through to the Supreme Tao, I will return the divine pill to you. How about that? The divine pill was the source of power in the body of a divine beast. It could be said that once a divine beast lost the divine pill, it was no different from an ordinary spiritual beast. Hearing this, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was completely enraged. Kid, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I will now let you experience the power of a divine beast. As soon as his voice fell, an unparalleled power of the divine way erupted from the stone wall and instantly enveloped Longao. A divine beast was a divine beast. Moreover, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was in the heavenly god realm. Just the aura alone was not something that Longao could contend with. Fortunately, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was sealed in the stone wall. Otherwise, just the suppression of the aura alone would have been enough to kill Longao. It was precisely because the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was sealed in the stone wall that the suppression of the aura could not kill Longao. Longao knew this, and so did the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon. Resisting the suppression of the divine way aura, Longao said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "Senior, if you want to break the seal and leave here, you will have to pay a price. Otherwise, no one will be able to help you. As I said before, you will always be a divine beast. Unless it is a divine way warrior, and a heavenly god at that, no one will be able to help you." As for others, although Longao did not finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon seemed to understand this as well. The powerful aura released from the stone wall instantly disappeared without a trace. After a moment of silence, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon's voice sounded again. "Kid, it is impossible for me to hand over the divine pill. I will not agree to this. What are your conditions?" Longao was immediately delighted. This was the effect that he wanted. He knew very well that the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon would not hand over the divine pill unless the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was out of his mind. Longao smiled and said, "Senior, since you are unwilling to hand over the divine pill, there is only one way. If you want me to help you break the seal, you must hand over something." "What is it?" "The divine pill." Kid, F*CKU. Before the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon could get angry, Longao had already disappeared without a trace. The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon had no place to vent his anger. Longao was extremely pleased. Although the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon did not have any malicious intentions towards him, no one could guarantee that the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon would deal with him once the seal was broken. As the saying goes, one should not have the intention to harm others, but one must always be vigilant against others. It was precisely because of this that Longao did not trust the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon from the beginning to the end. "Long Fu, have you thought of a way?" After playing with the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon this time, Longao knew that it was impossible to refine the stone wall with his own strength. Therefore, his only chance was Long Fu. This time, Long Fu allowed him to enter the forbidden area of the beast tide mainly because of the stone wall. If he could not refine the stone wall, wouldn't his trip be in vain? "Master, I have just sensed that the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon has been sealed in the stone tablet by the demon god for so many years. It is already very good that his strength has reached 1/10 of his original strength. Even so, you are still no match for the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon." Nonsense. Longao despised Long Fu because from the beginning to the end, Long Fu had never spoken nonsense. However, Longao still endured it. At this moment, Longao was very anxious. After all, the beast tide had already invaded the 9 states. Who knew what was going on in the 9 states now? "Long Fu, if you don't have a better way to refine 10 times, I will return to the 9 states first." "Master, I won't say much about the stone tablet." In short, if you miss this opportunity, in the future, Long Fu did not continue speaking, causing Longao to be depressed to the extreme. With no other choice, he could only continue to stay. Chapter 536. In the end, Longao chose to stay. Long Fu couldn't think of a better idea in a short time. Longao was also helpless. He couldn't leave, and he couldn't not leave either. Looking at the stone wall from afar, Longao still didn't know what kind of treasure the stone tablet was. However, the fact that it could seal the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was proof of its power. Spirit region of the 9 states. It had been 7 days since the beast tide invaded the 9 states. The entire spirit region of the 9 states was in a terrible situation. Blood flowed like rivers and corpses were everywhere. The 4 forces didn't care at all. They only cared about protecting their own forces. They didn't care about the other families and sects. In this way, there were almost no sects and families that could resist the beast tide. In just 7 days, the number of humans devoured by the beast tide had exceeded 100 million. What kind of concept was this? Even so, the 4 forces still turned a blind eye to it. All the families and sects were furious and cursed the 4 forces. According to the rate at which the beast tide was devouring, at least 60% of the spirit region of the 9 states would be devoured even if the beast tide could retreat in 10 days. It would be difficult to recover from this disaster without decades or even centuries. The 4 forces were cleaning up their own business. However, at this time, the imperial city suddenly began to rescue the spirit region of the 9 states. No matter who it was, as long as they agreed to join or submit to the imperial city, they could enter the imperial city and be protected by the imperial city. At this moment of life and death, the one who saved them was their grandfather. One had to admit that the imperial city's decision this time was correct. In order to survive, all the sects and families in the 9 states chose to submit to the imperial city without exception. Even the sects and families that were subordinate to the Nether Mansion, Ethereal Palace, and the third-class Long family all chose to submit to the imperial city. In just 1 hour, the imperial city's strength had increased by 100 times. This momentum was still developing. If this situation continued, the imperial city's strength would increase by 1,000 times once the beast tide retreated. In this way, the other 3 forces wouldn't be able to compete with the imperial city. The Nether Mansion, Ethereal Palace, and the third-class Long family never thought that the imperial city would do such a thing. After all, under normal circumstances, it was already good enough that the 4 forces took care of them. However, the imperial city was so shameless. Imperial city's intention was actually very simple. While everyone was at their wits' end, they came out and pretended to be good people, taking the opportunity to win people's hearts. Serene Hell Mansion, Ethereal Palace, and Level 3 Long family panicked when they saw the imperial city's power growing. According to the imperial city, the 3 major forces would also announce to the world that whoever was willing to submit would be protected by the 3 major forces. However, what the 3 great powers did not expect was that their actions were so ineffective. Compared to the imperial city, the difference was like heaven and earth. In fact, many forces no longer believed in the 3 major forces. After all, the imperial city was the first to open its gates to protect them. Tianju, Long family, main hall. Father, Aoa has been gone for so long, but there is still no news. I'm scared. Waving his hand, Long Haosha stopped his son from continuing. He said firmly, nothing could have happened to Aoa. If I'm not mistaken, Aoa should be in the forbidden land of the beast tide. I don't believe that the 4 great factions alone can kill my Aoa. Long Yi sighed deeply in his heart. Because he knew his father too well. Although he looked firm on the surface, he was extremely worried in his heart. The beast tide was such a serious matter. According to Aoa's character, he should have returned long ago. But now, Father, let's not lie to ourselves anymore. The 4 great factions have already spread the news that Aoa has died in the forbidden land of the beast tide. Although I don't know what happened, I'm sure that Aoa's death is related to the 4 great factions. The 4 great factions. Long Haosha clenched his fists tightly. No matter what, Long Haosha was still old. At this moment, Long Haosha's face suddenly lit up with joy. He said eagerly, I have something urgent to do. The 4 great factions, we will definitely take revenge. Long Yi was shocked. He did not know what had happened to his father. Just as Long Haosha left the main hall and headed to the back mountain, he was immediately enveloped by a divine aura. In the next second, Long Haosha entered the cave. Inside the cave, old ancestor, Aoa. Long Batian waved his hand and said with a smile, Aoa is fine. Just as you said, the 4 great factions alone cannot kill Aoa. Long Batian knew everything that had happened to Long Ao's people. Hearing the old ancestor's words, Long Haosha finally let out a sigh of relief. Long Haosha trusted the old ancestor. After all, Long Batian was a supreme existence in the Long family. He was also the first divine warrior of the Long family. Others might not know, but how could he not know? Old ancestor, why did you summon me this time? Long Haosha respectfully knelt on the ground. No matter how high Long Haosha's position in the Long family was, he was still a child in front of Long Batian. Get up first. Yes. Long Haosha respectfully stood up. In fact, Long Haosha had already guessed why the old ancestor had summoned him this time. He was very excited because once he obtained the divine inheritance, he would be able to become a divine warrior in the future. With the power of the 9 continents, once he became a divine warrior, the Long family would dominate the 9 continents and no one would be able to defeat them. Since you've already guessed it, then I won't say any more nonsense. I've already separated the inheritance of the divine Tao. From now on, you'll officially receive the inheritance of the divine Tao. You'll be able to achieve the position of the divine Tao in at least 1 year and at most 3 years. However, remember one thing. You're not allowed to tell anyone about your achievement of the divine Tao except for Aoa. Old ancestor, forgive me for asking, but why? Long Haosha simply could not understand. Since he had already become a divine warrior, why couldn't he tell others? If that was the case, then wouldn't the family never be able to rise? I will make this short. I believe you should also know about the grievances between me and the Long family. If the Long family knows that you have become a divine warrior, not only you, but also Aoa and the Long family will be in trouble. Hearing the old ancestor's words, Long Haosha was startled. He nodded and said, Old ancestor, I understand. It's good that you understand. We will begin immediately. You need 10 days to comprehend the divine inheritance. After 10 days, you will immediately go into seclusion to practice. I will do my best to help you. Hearing this, Long Haosha was overjoyed and repeatedly nodded. Next, Long Haosha began to receive the divine inheritance. With the help of Long Batian, Long Haosha was almost in no danger. P.S. Let me tell everyone a good news. This book is only available today, but there is a limit for tomorrow. Therefore, only 3 chapters can be updated. The outbreak will begin on the 14th. Little 9 will continue for a few days. Chapter 537. Long Ao had a headache because Long Fu still had not found a way to deal with the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon after a whole day and night. Long Ao was very anxious. After all, no one knew what would happen in the 9 prefectures if they delayed for a minute. The invasion of the beast tide was within reach of the 9 prefectures. The only thing Long Ao was worried about was that if the 4 major forces did not close the legendary passage, the 9 prefectures would be in trouble. However, Long Fu had already said that the stone tablet was an opportunity for him. If he missed it, he would definitely regret it in the future. The biggest reason why Long Ao did not rush out this time was because of time. The invasion of the beast tide would last for a total of 10 days. Until now, 7 days had passed since the invasion of the 9 prefectures. There were only 3 days left. Even if he went back, it would be useless. It was because of this that Long Ao decided to stay and deal with the stone tablet first. Long Fu, how is it? Master, although the strength of the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon is only a tenth of my original strength, you are still no match for him. It's basically impossible for you to refine the wall with your own strength. F***ck. He cursed fiercely in his heart. If he had known this would happen, he would not have waited so painfully. Just as Long Ao was about to get up and return to the 9 prefectures, Long Fu suddenly said, "But there is a way to try, but it is very dangerous." What is it? Long Ao was completely depressed by Long Fu. He even had an impulse to go up and beat up Long Fu. As if he also felt his master's displeasure, Long Fu finally smiled and said, "Master, don't be impatient." Long Ao, who was already extremely displeased, suddenly saw Long Fu smile. At first, he was stunned. Longao could only sigh helplessly. For a long time, Long Fu had never smiled. This time, he was giving face to Long Fu. Master, if you want to refine the stone tablet, you must first deal with the 9 tribulations demonic dragon. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you. Nonsense. So, Master, there is only one thing you need to do now, and that is to deal with the 9 tribulations demonic dragon first. Long Fu, of course I know that I have to deal with the 9 tribulations demonic dragon first. But the question now is, how should I deal with the 9 tribulations demonic dragon? Longao was very depressed. He didn't know what was wrong with Long Fu today. After all, Long Fu wasn't usually like this. He seemed to speak incoherently to the point of incoherence. Master, the only way now is to use the dragon seal space to forcibly suppress the 9 tribulations demonic dragon within the stone wall. What are the consequences? Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew that the dragon seal space wouldn't forcefully help him. If the dragon seal space was damaged, he would rather not have this treasure. In Longao's heart, the dragon seal space was more important than anything else. Master, this is your only chance. I can tell you that if you can obtain this stone tablet, you will definitely become one of the strongest existences in the world in the future. So, this is a rare opportunity. You must not miss it. Long Fu knew what Longao meant, but he waved his hand and said firmly, Long Fu, no need to say more. I will not agree to this. No matter what, nothing can happen to the dragon seal space. Leave the matter of the 9 tribulations demonic dragon to me. Without giving Long Fu any chance to speak, Longao left the dragon seal space. Longao took a deep look at the stone wall in front of him. He didn't delay any longer and walked up. Boy, you have guts. You actually dare to come back. The 9 tribulations demonic dragon's dissatisfied voice came from the stone wall. But thinking about it, the 9 tribulations demonic dragon's anger was completely understandable. As a divine dragon, he had been toyed with by an insignificant human warrior. Not to mention other things, just the humiliation alone was enough. 9 tribulations demonic dragon, let's cut the crap. I came here mainly for this stone wall. As for you, I have no interest. Tell me, what do I have to do for you to agree? The 9 tribulations demonic dragon seemed a little surprised, but he was also pleasantly surprised. After being sealed for so many years and unable to leave, how could the 9 tribulations demonic dragon give up this rare opportunity so easily? Boy, you are straightforward enough. In that case, I will not be wishy-washy. I will give you a chance. Aren't you afraid that I will go back on my word and leave the stone wall to take revenge on you? I can now swear a blood oath that I will never do anything to you. How about it? No. Boy, are you deliberately toying with me? 9 tribulations demonic dragon, I can't let you out for no reason. As a divine dragon, I believe you will not do this. My condition is very simple. You have to give me 3 drops of blood essence and help me break through to the half-saint realm. Damn you. Without giving the 9 tribulations demonic dragon any chance to scold him, Longao turned around and prepared to leave. Boy, wait a minute. Longao was overjoyed. He was full of confidence. The 9 tribulations demonic dragon had been sealed for so many years and certainly did not want to continue being sealed. Moreover, he was the only chance. Unless the 9 tribulations demonic dragon was out of his mind, he would certainly agree to his request. Boy, 3 drops of blood essence is no problem. But I have just sensed your constitution. It is too strange. Even if I have a way, I can at most raise your cultivation to the peak of the half-saint realm. As for the saint realm, I am powerless. If you agree, we will begin. Otherwise, get out of here immediately. Longao did not doubt the 9 tribulations demonic dragon's words at all. Longao knew very well that whether he was at the peak of the half-saint realm or a primary saint realm, or even a peak saint realm, he was nothing in front of the 9 tribulations demonic dragon. Therefore, the 9 tribulations demonic dragon did not need to deceive him. What's more, the constitution that the 9 tribulations demonic dragon had just mentioned was not known to others, but how could he not know? The sacred desolation body was the first divine body since ancient times. It was also the first useless body. Unless one had the support of a huge amount of power, it was impossible to advance to the next level. Because of this, once an ordinary person possessed the sacred desolation body, they would only end up in a tragedy. However, Longao's situation was different. The arrival of the dragon seal space allowed the dragon seal space and the sacred desolation body to be perfectly combined. His cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. But in the end, the dragon seal space was not omnipotent. It was not realistic to rely on the dragon seal space to advance all the way and break through all the way to the so-called divine realm. Thinking of this, Longao decided that no matter how difficult it was, he would rely on his own persistence and efforts to reach the so-called divine realm. He would stand at the peak of martial arts and look down on the firmament. Hearing the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragons agreement, Longao was overjoyed. He did not say anything and just watched quietly. The 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon was shrewd. He instantly understood the meaning of Longao's gaze. Chapter 538. After thinking about it, Longao finally agreed. Although the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon agreed readily, Longao did not let down his guard. He was still vigilant at all times. The 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon was still a divine beast of the divine realm. According to the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon, there was only one way for Longao to break through to the peak of the half-saint realm in the shortest time possible, and that was to use the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon's power to refine himself. It could be said that Longao's breakthrough this time coexisted with both opportunity and risk. The reason was very simple. The 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon's power entered Longao's body. If the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon played any tricks, the consequences would be unimaginable. But Longao had no other choice. First, he had to get the stone tablet. According to Long Fu, this stone tablet was very important to him. Whether he could set foot on the peak of martial arts in the future depended on this stone tablet. Second, the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon could help him break through to the peak of the half-saint realm. Such an opportunity did not come by all the time. Because of this, Longao finally chose to fight. Opportunity coexisted with danger. Longao did not continue to dodge. The 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon's power instantly entered his body. Time stopped. Longao stood quietly in front of the stone tablet, feeling the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon's power that entered his body. But at this moment, ha ha ha, boy, today I'll let you have a taste of 10,000 souls devouring your heart. Longao was shocked, but he did not cry out as expected. Instead, he calmly released the aura of heaven and earth. Something shocking happened. The aura of heaven and earth could even suppress the aura of the divine path. The aura of heaven and earth. Impossible, impossible. You can't be reborn from nirvana, damn you. The 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon inside the stone tablet was obviously a little panicked. The 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon never thought that Longao, who was only a half-saint, could have the aura of heaven and earth. The aura of heaven and earth was the most powerful aura in the world. Even a divine path warrior could not have such an aura. After a brief shock, the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon's killing intent surged. After all, a half-saint could condense the aura of heaven and earth. All of a sudden, the dragon's roar reverberated throughout the world. Long Qiong's figure suddenly appeared and stared coldly at the stone wall. Although Long Qiong was still unable to speak, his aura had already expressed his attitude. Giant dragon? Dragon warrior? As a divine beast, the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon naturally knew what it meant when a huge dragon suddenly emerged from Longao's body. As expected, it was easy to guess. How could a person who had even awakened his innate magical power not be a dragon warrior? Get out of my way. Long Qiong was not afraid of the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon. He knew that he was not as strong as the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon, but Long Qiong still rushed forward without hesitation. He attacked the 9 Tribulations Demonic Dragon, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not break the stone wall. Ha ha ha, A little holy dragon wants to challenge the majesty of a divine dragon. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Get out of my way. Even if the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon's strength was only 1/10 of his original body, it was still not something that Longchong could contend with. He was directly sent flying by his aura. However, Longchong also had the desolate divine body, so the aura of the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon could not kill Longchong at all. Because of this, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was very shocked. He was very confident in his strength. His opponent was just a little holy dragon. How could he resist his aura? The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon finally felt that something was wrong. Because of this, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon's killing intent surged. The terrifying power suppressed down from all directions. The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon's intention was very simple. He wanted to obliterate Longchong's soul in the shortest time possible so that he could be reborn. Only then could he break out of the seal. However, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon never expected that a soul would attack him in an instant. If he was in his original body or on guard, this soul would not be able to attack him at all. But now, there was a blood-curdling scream. Fortunately, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was a spirit. Otherwise, the soul attack released by Longchong would have been enough to obliterate him. At this moment, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was extremely depressed. As a dignified divine dragon, it should have been easy for him to kill a half-saint. But now, it seemed that the road ahead was bumpy. Enduring the pain in his soul, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon cursed, "Longchong, I'm going to tear you to pieces today." The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was completely enraged. After being sealed in the stone wall for so many years, he had a belly full of anger. Now, there was someone who was not afraid of death and kept causing trouble for him. It was simply unbearable. The secret cave could endure, but the chrysanthemum could not. The success of the soul attack this time was a blessing in disguise. Longchong knew very well that once the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was on guard, the soul attack would definitely fail. The consequences would be unimaginable. It was also because of this that Longchong did not dare to continue with the soul attack. After all, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon would definitely be on guard after the first time. If he continued to use the soul attack, he would simply be courting death. Longchong's face was extremely gloomy. The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was indeed shameless. "Since you're so heartless, don't blame me for being unjust." Longchong instantly used the Seal of Destruction. After successfully cultivating the 5th seal, Long Fu had imparted all the remaining seals to Longchong. According to Longchong's current comprehension and strength, he could already use the 10th seal. The terrifying power began to attack the power released by the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon. However, Longchong still had to be careful. After all, the battlefield was not inside the stone wall, but inside his body. The slightest mistake would cause him to be doomed eternally. Longchong was very careful, but the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was obviously doing it on purpose. He was forcing Longchong step by step. The power of the spirit itself was very strong. Even the Seal of Destruction could not resist the erosion of this power. What should I do? How should I deal with it? At this critical moment, Longchong did not know what to do. After all, the opponent's power had already invaded his mind and could invade his soul at any time. If that really happened, his soul would be instantly obliterated, and then his soul would be seized and reborn. Longchong did not choose to give up, because no one knew what would happen until the last moment. "Die, brat." The 9 Tribulations demonic dragon was very confident. This was the gap in strength. This was the gap between a divine beast and a semi-sage warrior. It could not be bridged. Just when the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon thought that he would definitely win, suddenly, an ancient dragon's roar rang out from Longchong's body again. This gave the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon a fright. Could it be that this brat has twin dragons? A twin dragon warrior? At this time, the 9 Tribulations demonic dragon in the stone wall made an earth-shaking swallowing sound. Chapter 539. At the same time as the ancient dragon's roar rang out, an illusory dragon shadow of 100,000 feet long appeared. The primordial divine dragon. No matter how powerful the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon was, he was still a member of the dragons. How could he not recognize their ancestor, the primordial divine dragon? However, the entire dragon clan, including the entire continent, knew one thing. The primordial divine dragon had already fallen in ancient times. If that was the case, why would the ancestor appear here? Impersonate the ancestor. That's right, the primordial divine dragon that suddenly appeared in front of him must be a fake. Damn you, how dare you impersonate the ancestor? You deserve to die. Before the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon could finish his words, a terrifying dragon aura pressed down on him, causing him to tremble in fear. Although he knew that the other party was very likely the ancestor, the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon was still unwilling to believe it. He was 100% sure that the dragon shadow that suddenly appeared in front of him was a fake. Kid, I don't know where you got this fake thing, but I'll tell you clearly that impersonating the ancestor will result in death. Due to the appearance of the primordial divine dragon, the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon's power withdrew from his body. At this moment, Longao could finally breathe a sigh of relief. However, when he heard the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon's words, Longao almost spat out blood. He had seen people with water in their heads, but he had never seen someone with a brain filled with paste. Even if the body could be impersonated, could the aura be impersonated as well? After thinking about it, Longao instantly understood the reason. Even if the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon had guessed the primordial divine dragon's identity, he would definitely not admit it. After all, admitting it was equivalent to surrendering. As a dignified divine dragon, how could the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon be willing to submit to him? The primordial divine dragon did not say a word, nor did he show any signs of anger. Indifference was written all over his solemn face as he smiled. At this moment, a terrifying dragon's breath covered the sky and pressed down on the stone wall. Feeling this terrifying dragon aura, Longao was shocked. He had no idea why the primordial divine dragon would do this. According to the primordial divine dragon, he had already suffered a great loss by forcefully attacking earlier. If he continued to attack, wouldn't he be courting death? Longao was very clear that in the past, the primordial divine dragon and Long Tien had fought against the heavenly Tao. In the end, one of them died and the other was injured. In the end, if it weren't for the dragon seal space, he believed that the primordial divine dragon would have died there. Could it be because of this stone wall? Thinking up to this point, Longao grew increasingly shocked. He did not know what this stone wall was for it to cause the primordial divine dragon to personally take action. This time, the primordial divine dragon was going all out. Just as Longao had guessed, in order to obtain the stone wall, he was willing to risk his life and resolutely attacked. Ancestor, I beg you. Before the Nine Tribulations demonic dragon could finish speaking, the voice disappeared. Immediately after, the primordial divine dragon's voice was heard. Thank you. Longao didn't hesitate. He immediately came to the front of the stone wall and circulated all the strength in his body. With a loud roar, he released all the strength in his body and enveloped the stone wall in an instant. If it were just Longao's strength alone, it would be impossible for him to devour the stone wall. However, with the help of the primordial divine dragon, Longao easily swallowed the stone wall into his body and into his dantian. Longao, come with me. Longao nodded. His soul followed the primordial divine dragon into the dragon seal space. Long Fu stood respectfully to the side. No matter what, the primordial divine dragon and Longao were both his masters. One was his previous master, while the other was his current master. Thank you, Senior Divine Dragon, for your help. Although Longao still didn't know what the stone tablet was, he knew that it was definitely something good. Otherwise, Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon wouldn't be so nervous. Longao, do you know what the stone tablet you just obtained is? Shaking his head, Longao said, I don't know. Chaos stone tablets. There are a total of 12 chaos stone tablets in the world. According to legend, as long as you can obtain one of the chaos stone tablets, you can become a super expert in the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? Longao nodded foolishly. His heart was already in a perilous situation. Of course, he understood what the primordial divine dragon meant. There were 12 chaos stone tablets in the world. As long as one could obtain one of them, they could become a super expert in the world. Such a temptation was something that no one could resist. Longao was really grateful to Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon. After all, there were only 12 chaos stone tablets in the world. He had already obtained one. Such luck was extremely good. Longao, I've forcefully suppressed the 9 tribulations demonic dragon for you. It's time for me to fall. Unless a miracle happens, I can't continue to help you. With regards to this, Longao was not surprised at all. It was as if he had already guessed it. No matter what, the primordial divine dragon's forceful actions this time had already sealed his fate. Instantly, Longao's impression of the primordial divine dragon greatly improved. In truth, Longao clearly knew that the primordial divine dragon was helping him because he wanted to help him. After all, only by becoming stronger and stronger could he help him and Long Tian take revenge. But the primordial divine dragon was already about to disappear. I have 3 things to tell you. Listen well. Longao quietly listened. The first thing is that we don't know what attribute the Chaos Stone tablet you obtained is. You'll have to rely on your own comprehension. But remember, don't tell anyone. Otherwise, you'll be in great trouble. I know. Longao was well aware of the primordial divine dragon's worries. No matter what, the primordial stone tablet was far too powerful. Once this matter was leaked out, not to mention ordinary martial artists, even divine way martial artists would not be able to resist the temptation and would try to snatch the primordial stone tablet. The second thing is that before your strength reaches the peak, you must not expose yourself. Especially in front of the heavenly Tao. I hope you can help me take revenge. If you can't do this, Long Fu will choose another master. Although Longao did not speak, he was very unhappy in his heart. In the end, although he was still the master of the Dragon Seal Space, he was actually under the control of Long Fu and the Dragon Seal Space. As long as Long Fu was willing, he could deal with him at any time and change masters. Mph, one day, I'll truly become the master of the Dragon Seal Space. The third thing is to help me take good care of my Long family and Dragon Valley. Consider this my request to you. As an primordial divine dragon, it was extremely rare for him to say such words. Longao originally did not want to agree, but in the end, he nodded in agreement. In the end, he had received a favor. If it were not for Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon, he would still be a trash in Scarlet Fire Town, being humiliated and ridiculed every day. Chapter 540. Longao had no objections to the primordial divine dragon's 3 conditions. As the saying went, strength represented everything. With his current strength, he had no qualifications to object. Just as the primordial divine dragon had said, as long as Long Fu felt unsuitable, he could find someone to replace him at any time. This was strength. If one wanted to live well in this man-eat-man world, they had to have super strength. Longao, I'm about to disappear. One last thing, although I've temporarily suppressed the 9 tribulations demon dragon, Long Fu can't refine it. So you have to be careful of the 9 tribulations demon dragon's backlash. Nodding, before Longao could ask, the primordial divine dragon had already disappeared. Letting out a deep sigh, Longao didn't say another word to Long Fu as he turned around and left the Dragon Seal Space. After Longao left, Long Fu suddenly said, "Old ancestor, this scheme that you set up seems to be a bit. Okay, this matter ends here. I only have one goal. Longao must break through to the peak in the shortest time possible, otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to wait." Long Fu didn't say anything, but there seemed to be something in his eyes. 12 Chaos Stone Tablets. After obtaining the Chaos Stone Tablets, Longao wasn't as happy as he had imagined. He didn't know why, but he had a feeling that he had been involved in a shocking conspiracy. The Heavenly Tao. Long Tian and the Primordial Divine Dragon. Longao was very clear that whether it was the Heavenly Tao, the Primordial Divine Dragon, or Long Tian, They were all the strongest existences in the world. He didn't have the qualifications to participate in their grudges. But the primordial divine dragon had already chosen him, so what could he do? At this moment, Longao finally understood why he had obtained the dragon seal space in his family's ancestral hall. It seemed that everything wasn't that simple. Forcefully suppressing the helplessness and unhappiness in his heart, Longao didn't continue to stay in the forbidden area of the Beast Tide. He prepared to return to the 9 provinces to see what was going on. This Beast Tide had invaded the 9 provinces. As long as the 4 great powers closed the transmission channel in time, the 9 provinces would be spared. But in any case, the 9-state spirit domain was completely out of luck. Unless the 4 forces went all out, the fate of the 9-state spirit domain was doomed. If it was before the arrival of the Beast Horde, Longao might have believed that the 4 forces would go all out to defend against the Beast Horde. But now, Longao absolutely did not believe that the 4 major forces would do such a thing. If the 4 major forces were willing, they wouldn't have retreated at the last moment and had their own ulterior motives. Because of this, Longao was very anxious. However, at this moment, countless spirit beasts rushed over from the Beast Tide forbidden area. The Beast Tide had returned. Longao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although the Beast Tide had retreated, the 9 continents spirit realm and the 9 continents must have suffered unprecedented destruction. Because of this, Longao was even more furious. The 4 great forces, including the Imperial City, deserved to die. Longao didn't dare to face the Beast Tide head-on. Even if he was a half-step sage, he would be drowned by the Beast Tide in an instant. Beast Tide. Longao couldn't imagine where the Beast Tide came from. If he could control the Beast Tide, it was hard to imagine how powerful the sect would be. It was unavoidable. F***ck Longao cursed in his heart. There were too many Beast Tide. At a glance, it was a black mass. He didn't dare to be careless. Longao immediately turned around and shot away. Being chased by the Beast Tide, Longao's speed increased by a level. In this situation, Longao couldn't care about anything else. Anyway, he only had one goal, and that was to not be caught by the Beast Tide. Longao didn't care about anything else and shot towards the deepest part of the forest. The Beast Tide was also very fast. Every spirit beast was crazy. They opened their bloody mouths as if they wanted to devour everything in the world. What should I do? Seeing that there was no end in front of him, Longao's heart sank to the extreme. If this continued, the Beast Tide would catch up to him sooner or later. When that time came, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although there was no way to completely shake off the Beast Tide, Longao didn't let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He slowed down a little and started his massacre. Whether it was the spirit beast's soul or corpse, they were all sent into the dragon seal space. This time, Longao clearly wanted to wipe them all out. No matter how strong the spirit beast was, he wanted to kill them all. Longao had already decided that no matter what, he would create an invincible corpse slave army. The Beast Tide was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 99% of the spirit beasts in the Beast Tide weren't sacred beasts. Therefore, with Longao's strength, killing these spirit beasts was a simple matter. Longao only killed a little over 1,000 spirit beasts. He didn't continue killing and continued to fly away. Someone dared to move above the lion's head and pull out a tooth from the tiger's mouth. The Beast Tide had millions or even tens of millions of spirit beasts. They were so densely packed that one couldn't even see the end. Not to mention someone daring to attack the Beast Tide, no matter who it was, even if it was a divine path martial artist, they would avoid the Beast Tide. It was because of this that Longao's sudden attack had thoroughly angered the Beast Tide. The result was obvious. The Beast Tide's speed increased by a full 20%. They chased after Longao crazily. They couldn't wait to tear Longao into pieces. This caused Longao to run even more crazily without stopping for a moment. Unknowingly, Longao and the Beast Tide had all entered the deepest part of the forest. It was dark all around. Even the sky couldn't be seen. It was like a sealed space. Hey! Exclaiming in surprise, Longao was shocked. Because just as he stepped into the dark space, the beast tide behind him silently disappeared. That's right, the tens of millions of spirit beasts in the beast tide suddenly disappeared without a trace. Not a single spirit beast was left behind. Just what had happened? Imperceptibly, Longao became extremely vigilant. Because the beast tide had suddenly disappeared, even ghosts would know that this matter was not normal at all. He raised 120% of his attention and carefully observed the surrounding environment. Longao could be very sure that the place he was in was a huge sealed dark space. As for how big this dark space was, no one knew. Longao could also be sure of one thing. That was the terrifying beast tide. Tens of millions of spirit beasts seemed to have come from this dark space. It was because of this that Longao became more and more serious. He simply didn't know what kind of place this dark space was. He couldn't figure it out at all. Longao really couldn't figure it out. Where did all the spirit beasts in the beast tide go to? They disappeared into thin air. Could it be that there was a space passage in this space? Longao carefully observed the surrounding environment. In the end, Longao still couldn't figure it out. He shrugged helplessly and turned around to leave the dark space. No matter what happened here, it had nothing to do with him. He only had one thing to do now, and that was to return to the 9 continents. Chapter 541. Just as Longao was about to leave the dark space and return to the 9 states, Longao's expression changed. Not daring to be careless, he immediately sat on the ground. Within the dragon seal space. Long Fu, what happened? Why is the Chaos Stone tablet corroding my strength? This discovery almost scared Longao silly. No matter what, the primordial divine dragon had said that there were only 12 Chaos Stone tablets in the world. Every Chaos Stone tablet was incomparably powerful. As long as one could obtain one of the Chaos Stone tablets, they could become one of the strongest warriors in the world. Because of this, the Chaos Stone tablet had suddenly corroded his strength. Longao was shocked, not knowing what had happened. He did not dare to be careless. Longao knew nothing about the Chaos Stone tablets, so he could only ask Long Fu for help. Master, the Chaos Stone tablets are the strongest divine weapons in the world. With your strength alone, you cannot suppress the Chaos Stone tablets. F***ck hearing Long Fu's words, Longao could not help but curse in his heart. Longao was very puzzled. Since he could not suppress the Chaos Stone tablets with his strength, why did the primordial divine dragon want him to obtain the Chaos Stone tablets? Now that the primordial divine dragon had disappeared, who could help him suppress the Chaos Stone tablets? Master, don't be impatient. Before Longao could speak, Long Fu had already said, Master, if you want to control the Chaos Stone tablets, you can only rely on yourself. The Chaos Stone tablets can help you become the strongest warrior in the world. So no matter what, you have to subdue it. Nodding his head, Longao naturally knew what Long Fu had said. In the end, if he wanted to successfully control the Chaos Stone tablets, he had to rely on his own strength. It seemed simple, but it was actually very difficult. Master, legend has it that each of the 12 primal Chaos Stone tablets in the world has its own unique martial skill. If Master is able to comprehend this martial skill from the primal Chaos Stone tablet, it won't be difficult for you to dominate the world. Longao wasn't surprised at all. After all, he knew very well that it wouldn't be easy to comprehend a peerless martial skill from the Chaos Stone tablet. In the dark space, Longao sat on the ground, quietly comprehending the Chaos Stone tablet. Although Long Fu didn't help him, he still gave Longao a suggestion. That was to comprehend the Chaos Stone tablet and not suppress it. This way, the speed at which he refined the Chaos Stone tablet would greatly increase. It was easy to say, but it was incomparably difficult to do. After comprehending for an entire day and night, Longao finally obtained a trace of connection with the Chaos Stone tablet. As a result, the Chaos Stone tablet didn't continue to corrode the power in his body. At this moment, Longao finally let out a sigh of relief. However, he was sweating profusely. 1/3 of the power in his body had been corroded. If he didn't succeed in comprehending it in time, he believed that it would take at most 3 days for all the power in his body to be completely corroded. However, even so, Longao felt that it was more difficult than fighting a saint. Taking a deep breath, Longao didn't stand up and leave. He wanted to strike while the iron was hot and directly start comprehending the peerless martial skill from the Chaos Stone Tablet. According to Long Fu, each of the 12 primal Chaos Stone Tablets in the world contained a martial skill. As long as one was able to comprehend it, they would be able to dominate the world. Because of this, Longao immediately focused on comprehending the martial skill from the Chaos Stone Tablet in his body. He had no idea where to start. Longao felt a deep sense of helplessness. Because no matter what, he couldn't enter the Chaos Stone Tablet. As such, it was impossible for him to comprehend the martial skill from the Chaos Stone Tablet. Master, use your soul power. Hearing Long Fu's reminder, Longao nodded. He immediately used his soul power to comprehend the Chaos Stone Tablet. However, the result was the same. However, Longao could clearly feel that when he used his soul power to sense the Chaos Stone Tablet, the Chaos Stone Tablet seemed to have a slight reaction. Although the reaction was very small, Longao was pleasantly surprised. After all, he couldn't rush things. A day later, Longao stood up. He didn't continue comprehending the Chaos Stone Tablet. Instead, he prepared to immediately return to the 9 states. Although the beast horde had already passed several days ago, he really wanted to know what happened to the 9 states after the beast horde. He wanted to know if the 4 great powers had closed the transmission channel. There was only one thing that Longao was worried about, and that was the matter of the teleportation channel. However, at this moment, Longao dodged to the side. He was so frightened that he broke out in cold sweat. The beast horde had appeared. He didn't know what had happened. Countless spirit beasts suddenly appeared all around him. It was the beast horde that had disappeared a few days ago. Longao didn't know where these spirit beasts had come from. It was as if they had disappeared and appeared out of thin air. He didn't dare to be careless. The wild devouring blade appeared in his hand. One blade after another, the wild devouring blade continuously killed the spirit beasts. However, the beast horde wasn't afraid of death. After one died, another one pounced. Like a moth to a flame. The beast horde didn't seem to be afraid of death. However, it was because of this that Longao's expression was extremely serious. The beast horde's numbers were too many. His initial estimate was that the beast horde had tens of millions of spirit beasts. Not to mention that he was only a half-saint martial artist. Even if he was a martial artist of the divine path, he would be exhausted to death. All the spirit beasts were densely packed. They were constantly attacking from all 4 directions. Longao had no way to escape. Looking at the densely packed spirit beasts that were constantly attacking him, Longao felt his scalp go numb. In just half an hour, Longao had already killed thousands of spirit beasts. However, he was also exhausted. He had no choice but to immediately fly, hoping to leave through space. However, what made Longao feel a headache was that just as he was flying, he didn't know where, but endless flying spirit beasts suddenly shot out from all directions. It was also densely packed. Longao had no choice but to land and continue fighting. Am I going to die here? Space teleportation. In the end, Longao had no choice but to use space teleportation. After 5 consecutive space teleportation, he thought that he could leave. However, what Longao didn't expect was that he still couldn't get rid of the spirit beast's attacks. Not only that, there were more and more spirit beasts coming from all directions. Longao fought with all his strength. He resisted the waves of weakness in his mind. He clenched his teeth and kept telling himself that he couldn't give up. He had to persevere. Persevere. The obsession in his heart made Longao fight more and more bravely. In the end, Longao was covered in blood. It was as if he was a man made of blood. He looked extremely terrifying. After the last strike, Longao looked at the densely packed beast horde that didn't seem to reduce. He sighed deeply. Chapter 542. He kept telling himself that he could not give up. He was determined not to give up. However, under such circumstances, was it really okay to not give up? Longao had already consumed his last bit of strength, and the blood-sucking frenzy blade in his hand had disappeared. This also meant that Longao had chosen to give up. He was unwilling to give up, but things had already come to this point and he was powerless to do anything. Without the slightest bit of physical strength, even the last bit of soul power had been consumed. Longao looked around helplessly, and finally fainted. The beast tide was endless. All the spirit beasts roared crazily and pounced on Longao one by one, wanting to devour Longao directly. Under normal circumstances, Longao was dead meat. However, at this moment, just as Longao was about to be devoured by the spirit beasts, a dragon's roar suddenly rang out from within his body. Then, a dragon's shadow appeared in the dark space. The ancient dragon's roar resounded through the world. If Longao was awake, he would be shocked speechless. This was because at this moment, the primordial divine dragon, who had disappeared, suddenly appeared again. The dragon's shadow continued to dance, and a terrifying dragon's breath spread in all directions. At this moment, the primordial divine dragon was obviously enduring and could collapse at any time. However, in order to protect Longao, the primordial divine dragon had to forcibly take action, even if it risked the fall of his soul. The primordial divine dragon's intention was very simple. In fact, for so many years, the dragon seal space had found countless masters, but no one had been able to take the final step. In the end, the primordial divine dragon was afraid of being discovered by the heavenly Tao, so he took the dragon seal space and hid in the ancestral hall of the Long family in Scarlet Fire Town. In the end, it could be said that the primordial divine dragon had unintentionally chosen Longao. Firstly, Longao's desolation physique had moved the primordial divine dragon. As the first divine physique since ancient times, once he had the help of the dragon seal space, the desolation physique would not be a so-called waste, but a true divine physique. Secondly, Longao's perseverance was the biggest reason that moved the primordial divine dragon. After all, besides talent, perseverance was the most important thing for a warrior. A person like Longao was one in a million. The primordial divine dragon knew very well that once something happened to Longao, it would be very difficult to find a second successor like Longao. Furthermore, the primordial divine dragon did not have much time left and could die at any time. The primordial divine dragon was one of the most powerful divine beasts in the world during the Antiquity Age. He was also the ancestor of the dragon tribe. Needless to say, his strength was not something that ordinary divine beasts could withstand. If even divine beasts couldn't do it, how could ordinary spirit beasts resist it? As expected, when the primordial divine dragon appeared, all the spirit beasts in the area were visibly frightened. They all knelt down and were as respectful as they could be. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Suddenly, a series of ear-piercing sounds rang out in the dark space. All the spirit beasts who were initially respectful suddenly heard the ear-piercing sounds and started attacking wildly once more. The face of the primordial divine dragon seemed to have changed as well as his authoritative voice rang out. Myriad Beasts Token, Myriad Beasts Sect. Based on the strength of the primordial divine dragon's original body, he should not be bothered about the beast stampede at all. But the situation right now was clearly different. The primordial divine dragon was already at the final juncture. If he were to strike out forcefully, he would definitely not be able to enter the reincarnation cycle. But under such circumstances, the primordial divine dragon was clear that even if he did not strike out, the outcome would still be the same. Since he did not have much time left, he might as well take a gamble and bet that Longao would be able to reach the pinnacle of martial arts and avenge him and Long Tien by slaying the Heaven's Will. The horrifying primordial divine dragon's roar rang out once more. Suddenly, two beams of light shot out from the body of the primordial divine dragon. One beam of light shot into Longao's body, while the other beam shot into Long Qiong's body within the dragon seal space. Be it Longao or Long Qiong, neither of them could feel anything. This was the difference in strength between both of them. In the face of the primordial divine dragon, both of them were still far too weak. As the primordial divine dragon's roar rang out continuously, the primordial divine dragon struck out as well. As one of the strongest divine beasts in the world, one could not help but admit that even the primordial divine dragon's current strength was pretty frightening. Furthermore, this was the strongest attack of the primordial divine dragon. The horrifying dragon's breath formed into gigantic balls that bombarded the surrounding spirit beasts. Boom! 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 The entire dark space began to tremble. Before the spirit beasts could even react, countless of them were devoured by the beams of light. Not even their corpses remained. This was the strength of the primordial divine dragon. The spirit beast tide was endless. There were simply too many spirit beasts. Although there were only a few million of them, there were definitely tens of millions of them. Even with the terrifying strength of the primordial divine dragon, it was impossible to eliminate tens of millions of spirit beasts in a short period of time. If it was the primordial divine dragon of the primordial era, eliminating tens of millions of spirit beasts would be a matter of minutes. However, it was different now. The primordial divine dragon knew that Longao wanted to refine an army of corpse slaves. Therefore, when it killed the spirit beasts, it kept the souls and corpses of the spirit beasts into the dragon seal space. The number of spirit beasts in the spirit beast tide was decreasing. At a glance, it was no longer endless. The spirit beasts that were still advancing earlier were now less than 4 million. In other words, the primordial divine dragon had killed nearly 6 million spirit beasts in a short period of time. The primordial divine dragon's body almost fell from the sky, but it endured in the end. The primordial divine dragon's body continued to release dragon chi. Countless balls of light continued to erupt. The number of spirit beasts in the spirit beast tide gradually decreased. One by one, there were only 2 million spirit beasts left. Killing 8 million spirit beasts in half an hour. Perhaps only the primordial divine dragon could do it. Could other divine beasts do it? The final attack. The primordial divine dragon let out a terrifying dragon roar. At this moment, an unparalleled dragon chi suddenly erupted from the primordial divine dragon's body. It directly formed 8 balls of light and exploded in 8 different directions. The final attack was also the strongest attack. It directly wiped out the remaining 2 million spirit beasts. Not a single one was left alive. Since then, tens of millions of spirit beasts in the spirit beast tide were slaughtered. Moreover, the souls and corpses of tens of millions of spirit beasts were all sent into the dragon seal space. Once the refining was successful, it would be a terrifying army of tens of millions of corpse slaves. What kind of concept was that? After slaughtering the spirit beast tide, the primordial divine dragon wanted to return to the dragon seal space to recuperate. However, its face suddenly changed. It raised its head and looked at the sky. It was a black mass. Its voice was extremely solemn as it said, "Heavenly Tao. P.S. It will erupt tomorrow at 4 p.m. Everyone, prepare your monthly votes and rewards. Let's see Little Nine's performance. If you are satisfied, cast your monthly votes and rewards. Little Nine will work hard to erupt and will not disappoint everyone. Let's meet tomorrow at 4 p.m. Chapter 543. The Heavenly Tao. The primordial divine dragon never imagined that the Heavenly Tao would come so quickly. Whatever he was afraid of, it would come. The primordial divine dragon was most afraid of encountering the Heavenly Tao at this time. He wasn't a match for the Heavenly Tao even at his peak, let alone now. Because of this, the primordial divine dragon didn't dare to hesitate and immediately summoned Long Fu. Long Fu, I'll resist the Heavenly Tao. You take Longao and leave this place. Remember, no matter what happens, don't let the Heavenly Tao discover you. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. Master, you're going to meet the Heavenly Tao at this time. Before Long Fu could finish his words, the primordial divine dragon said, if I don't go, you and Longao won't be able to leave. Hurry up and leave. Without giving Long Fu a chance to speak, the primordial divine dragon used his strongest attack and forcefully opened the space, pushing Longao and the dragon seal space out. If it was the original primordial divine dragon, he might have been able to place Longao in a designated location. But now, The primordial divine dragon seemed unable to do so. He could barely open a space passage. As for where Longao would be sent to, no one knew. Even the primordial divine dragon didn't know. After sending Longao away, the primordial divine dragon immediately closed the passage. With a cold snort, the primordial divine dragon's figure disappeared. Above the 9 heavens, at the peak of the clouds, the primordial divine dragon and the heavenly Tao faced each other. The heavenly Tao smiled and said, "Primordial divine dragon, you've hidden yourself well for so many years. But you still can't escape from my palm." In the 9 heavens, within the clouds, a huge face was filled with confidence. This was the heavenly Tao, the true #1 expert in the world. It was also the super expert that killed Long Tien and the primordial divine dragon. Not putting the heavenly Tao in his eyes, the primordial divine dragon said with contempt, "Heavenly Tao, if Long Tien and I hadn't failed to merge back then, we wouldn't have lost to you. We were only 1 step away." Ha ha ha, primordial divine dragon, you just said that no matter how strong you and Long Tien were, you still failed to merge successfully. You were only 1 step away. However, you still lost this step. Therefore, you will never be able to reach that step. Mph. Although Long Tien and I can't take revenge, I've already found a successor. With his talent and potential, I believe that in less than 100 years, he'll be able to reach our level. At that time, once the fusion is complete, you'll definitely die. The more confident the primordial divine dragon appeared, the more uncertain the heavenly Tao became. No matter what he did, the one in front of him was the ancestor of the dragon clan, one of the most powerful divine beasts in the world. It was always better to be safe than sorry. What if the successor of the primordial divine dragon really fused together? Thinking of this, Tiandao's expression changed slightly, but he still smiled and said, "Primordial divine dragon, do you think I will give you a chance?" Before the primordial divine dragon could reply, the heavenly Tao continued, "You have to remember that I am the true ruler of the martial heaven continent. No matter who it is, they all want to escape from my grasp. Back then, I was able to kill you and Long Tien. Then, I can also kill your successor. Do you believe me?" The primordial divine dragon disdainfully smiled. "Tiandao, don't deceive yourself. Your good days have come to an end. Ha ha ha, primordial divine dragon, don't get carried away. No matter what happens to me in the future, you won't be able to see it." How could the heavenly Tao not know about the primordial divine dragon's situation? Let alone the heavenly Tao, just the other divine beasts could easily kill the current primordial divine dragon. So the heavenly Tao wasn't in a rush. It was like a cat catching a mouse. In truth, the heavenly Tao's giant face wasn't its true body. It was just a clone. Just think about it. If a clone was so powerful, then it was easy to imagine how terrifying the heavenly Tao's true body was. Tiandao, since things have already reached this point, let's be frank. Our enmity will be resolved sooner or later. Since that's the case, I'll settle it with you today. With just you. The heavenly Tao's face was filled with disdain. He didn't care about the primordial divine dragon at all. Primordial divine dragon, even when you and Long Tien were at your peak, you weren't a match for me. Now, I'll give you a word of advice. Submit to me, and I can consider making you my mount. How about it? Fuck off. Who do you think you are? You want me to be your mount? Who do you think you are? I can clearly tell you that since ancient times, I've only had one companion, and that's Long Tien. You're not worthy, you're not worthy. Do you understand? Hearing that, the heavenly Tao's expression instantly turned cold. As the true #1 expert of the martial heaven continent, he could be said to be the ruler of everyone's lives. No one dared to disobey him. Only in ancient times had a man and a dragon appeared to oppose him. I have no choice but to admit that you and Long Tien aren't afraid of death. Perhaps in the eyes of others, you really are heroes, but in my eyes, you're just 2 idiots. Primordial divine dragon, cut the crap. Hand over the dragon seal, and I'll spare your life. The dragon seal. Heavenly Tao, you'll never be able to obtain the dragon seal in this lifetime. You mean you don't plan on handing it over? Do you think I will? The heavenly Tao looked deeply at the primordial divine dragon and suddenly said, if you don't hand over the dragon seal, I'll slaughter the entire dragon race. Do you believe me or not? The Heavenly Tao's words were very simple. It was a threat. No matter what, the primordial divine dragon was still the ancestor of the dragon race. He couldn't ignore the life and death of the dragon race. It was precisely because of this that the Heavenly Tao was completely confident in using the dragon race as a bargaining chip to threaten the primordial divine dragon. He didn't believe the primordial divine dragon wouldn't compromise. However, the Heavenly Tao's guess was wrong. The primordial divine dragon didn't mind. He smiled. Heavenly Tao, if you want to slaughter the dragon race, go ahead. I can only tell you one thing. In 100 years, you'll definitely die. With the help of the dragon seal, my successor will succeed in merging. At that time, he'll be able to kill you. Ha 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 ha. Hearing the primordial divine dragon's words, the Heavenly Tao's face turned extremely gloomy. He wasn't worried about the primordial divine dragon's successor. What he was truly worried about was the dragon seal. The Heavenly Tao knew what the dragon seal represented 1,000,000 times better than anyone else. Once the primordial divine dragon's successor succeeded in merging with the dragon seal, the Heavenly Tao would be in big trouble. Back then, the biggest reason why the Heavenly Tao killed Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon was because of the dragon seal space. Otherwise, the Heavenly Tao wouldn't have found trouble with Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon for no reason. Just as the Heavenly Tao was about to continue threatening the primordial divine dragon, a shocking aura suddenly erupted from the primordial divine dragon. Sensing this aura, the Heavenly Tao exclaimed, "Divine dragon's self-destruction." Chapter 544. The divine dragon self-destructed. The Heavenly Tao had never imagined that the primordial divine dragon would choose to self-destruct. Although the Heavenly Tao was not afraid of the primordial divine dragon, the primordial divine dragon was still the ancestor of the dragon race and one of the strongest divine beasts in the world. Once the primordial divine dragon self-destructed, the power alone would be enough to destroy the world. Furthermore, this was the self-destruction of the current primordial divine dragon. If the original primordial divine dragon chose to self-destruct, it would be enough to shake the heavens and earth. However, even the Heavenly Tao did not dare to be careless in the face of the primordial divine dragon's self-destruction. Cursing in its heart, the Heavenly Tao wished it could crush the primordial divine dragon to death, but for the sake of the dragon seal, the Heavenly Tao endured it. At this moment, the Heavenly Tao was in an extreme pain. Not daring to stay any longer, just as the Heavenly Tao was about to leave, the speed of the primordial divine dragon's self-destruction increased by 100 times. Before the Heavenly Tao could leave, it was devoured by the power of the self-destruction. Primordial divine dragon, F***CKU. As the Heavenly Tao, it actually cursed at this moment. What did this mean? The primordial divine dragon had chosen to self-destruct, and its power had disappeared. At this moment, the primordial divine dragon had truly fallen. Not only its body, but its soul as well. But before the primordial divine dragon died, it actually dragged someone down with it. At this moment, the Heavenly Tao probably never expected it. With the Heavenly Tao's clone destroyed, the Heavenly Tao was furious to the extreme. At the peak of a certain mountain in the Tianwu continent, the entire mountain was connected to the Cloud Palace. It looked as if it was wrapped in clouds. It was magnificent. At the peak of the mountain stood a man. His white robes fluttered, and his long hair danced in the wind. The man gave off an illusory feeling, as if he had fused with the world. The Heavenly Tao. This man was none other than the strongest martial artist in the world. He had truly stepped onto the peak of the martial path. Primordial divine dragon, you dare to destroy one of my clones? The Heavenly Tao's expression was very ugly. After all, each clone was incomparably important. Perhaps others did not know, but the Heavenly Tao was very confident that the strength of each clone was comparable to the primordial divine dragon, and even surpassed Long Tian. The strength of the clone was already so powerful. One could only imagine how terrifying the strength of the true heavenly axiom was. Primordial divine dragon, don't choose to self-detonate. You can get your revenge. I will find your successor and obtain the dragon seal. Ha ha ha, since I am the heavenly Tao, I am the ruler. No one will dare to defy me. Spirit domain of the 9 states. For 10 whole days, the beast tide trampled on the spirit realm of the 9 states. In just 10 short days, the population of the spirit realm of the 9 states had decreased by 2/5. What kind of concept was this? Everyone in the spirit realm of the 9 states was complaining about the 3 major forces, the Nether Mansion, the Ethereal Palace, and the third-rank Long family. The reason why they didn't curse the Imperial City was simple. The Imperial City had acted in time to save the spirit realm of the 9 states. Otherwise, the spirit realm of the 9 states would have suffered even greater losses. It was precisely because of this that the Imperial City's power had expanded by 300 times in just 10 days, directly suppressing the other 3 forces. The 3 forces had never expected this. Otherwise, they wouldn't have fallen behind the Imperial City. However, it was all too late. The Imperial City was the biggest winner in this beast tide. In other words, the Imperial City had become the true number 1 force in the spirit realm of the 9 states. The other 3 forces couldn't compete with the Imperial City. The 3 forces wanted to curse the Imperial City. Since it had already happened, they had to think of a way to solve it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Imperial City's power would only increase. In the end, the Nether Mansion, the Ethereal Palace, and the third-rank Long family formed an alliance to resist the Imperial City. The alliance of the 3 major forces was something that had never happened before. If it was before the beast tide, the Imperial City might be afraid of the alliance of the 3 forces. But now, the Imperial City's power had increased by 200 times. It was precisely because of this that the Imperial City didn't fear the 3 forces. In the Imperial City, the alliance of the 3 forces was ready to act at any time. It was obvious that the Imperial City's power had skyrocketed. They wanted to completely dominate the spirit realm of the 9 states. How could the other 3 forces agree? In the Imperial City, Duan said anxiously, "Father, the Nether Mansion, the Ethereal Palace, and the third-rank Long family have formed an alliance. If we don't act now, things will become very troublesome." Waving his hand, he said with a smile, "Don't worry. The beast tide this time has increased the power of the Imperial City by 200 times. Now, more than 70% of the spirit realm of the 9 states belongs to the Imperial City. Even if the 3 forces form an alliance, it's not very likely that they will choose to fight against us." "Father, I know. But the foundation of the 3 forces is right there. Don't worry. I know. The beast tide this time has indirectly helped the Imperial City. Father, what should we do next?" Duan's expression was still very serious. He was also very unwilling. No matter what, with the current power of the Imperial City, it wasn't difficult to dominate the spirit realm of the 9 states. But his father was still unwilling to act and wasted this opportunity. "It's very simple. Continue to develop your forces. Later, you will exaggerate the fact that the 3 major forces didn't manage to save the 9 prefectures in time. If there are no accidents, in less than a month's time, the 3 major forces will be isolated without us doing anything." A month? Could the Imperial City really do it? Duan didn't have the confidence. But since his father had said so, there was nothing he could do. He could only shrug helplessly and agree. "Father, I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling. It seems that Longao isn't dead." "Don't talk nonsense. Longao has died in the beast tide. Don't talk nonsense like this in the future." Duan Kai obviously seemed to be very afraid of Longao. But after thinking about it, he felt relieved. No matter what, Longao's counterattack was too terrifying. In just a year, he went from a trash in Scarlet Fire Town to the master of the Dragon Sect. Not only that, Longao also severely damaged the 4 forces. Once, twice, 3 times. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. He was very clear in his heart that if Longao did not die, with Longao's talent and potential, he believed that it would not be long before he could lead the Dragon Sect to counterattack the 4 major forces. At that time, would the 4 major forces still be able to suppress the Dragon Sect? Duan Kai also heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, Longao was dead. Looking at his father's expression, Duan he felt a little helpless. As the city lord of the imperial city, he felt very sullen. After all, the imperial city was one of the 4 forces that controlled the spirit realm of the 9 states. But now, they were afraid of an ordinary sect in the spirit realm. It was funny to say that Longao was a legend that couldn't be replicated. Chapter 545. Outer Sea. Far away from Jojo, there was a boundless sea in the southernmost part of Jojo. It was called the Outer Sea. It was said that there were countless islands in the Outer Sea. There were various clans and sects on the islands. Sea. The waves came one after another, rolling in and out. It could only be described with one word: surging waves. A ship that was more than 10 meters long and a few meters wide was floating in the sea. It looked like it would be overturned by the sea breeze and waves at any time. Brother, it must be the Yi clan and the Wang clan that attacked us this time. Long Qian-er was furious. There were only 2 people left on the ship. Other than Long Qian-er, there was only her brother, Long Heng. Both of them were direct disciples of the Long clan on Cloud Island. Long Qian-er had an oval face, willowy eyebrows, big eyes, small mouth, high nose, and a perfect figure. She was called the most beautiful woman on Cloud Island and had countless suitors. As for Long Heng, he was the genius of the Long clan and also the trash of the Long clan. The reason why Long Heng was called a genius and also a piece of trash was very simple. It was because Long Heng had reached the martial highness realm in just 20 years. However, for some unknown reason, no matter how hard Long Heng tried, he was unable to break through to the martial highness realm. A genius was reduced to a trash. Long Heng let out a deep sigh. Others might not know the reason, but he knew it very well. Forget it. Even if we were attacked, I believe the clan would not ask about it. Long Heng's words revealed a deep sense of helplessness and sadness. If it was him 3 years ago, he believed that this would not happen. So what if he was the most talented genius? Brother, what's wrong with you? Are you going to give up too? How can I not give up? Long Heng laughed self-deprecatingly and sighed helplessly. Others might not know, but don't you know? When I was going through the tribulation, I was struck by lightning. Since then, my cultivation could not improve. I was humiliated and ridiculed. But what can I do? Looking at her brother, Long Qian-er was furious, but she could not say anything. In the outer seas, regardless of which island it was, talent and potential mattered. No matter what you were in the past, if you couldn't do it now, then countless people would mock you and hit you while you were down. She couldn't accept it. She couldn't accept the endless humiliation and ridicule of her brother. No matter what, her brother was not only the number 1 genius of the clan, but also the number 1 genius of the entire Cloud Island. Big brother, look, what's that? The depressed Long Qian-er looked at the boundless sea in the distance. Suddenly, she seemed to have seen something. It's a person. Let's go over quickly. Big brother, we don't have much time left. If we go back late, father will scold us again. Long Heng waved his hand, not giving Long Qian-er a chance to speak. Saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-storied pagoda. Since we've seen him, we can't just leave him to die. Long Qian-er sighed deeply. She understood her elder brother very well. He was too soft-hearted. In the end, they had no choice but to speed up the boat. Soon, they arrived at their destination. There was a person floating on the sea. He seemed to be dead. With Long Heng's powerful strength, it was easy for him to save a person. Long Qian-er put Longao on the deck gently and said unhappily, "Big brother, this person is obviously dead. Let's go quickly. We'll be late if we go back." Shut up. Long Qian-er seemed to be very surprised to be called by her elder brother. She pouted her little mouth. Although she was a martial saint, Long Heng was still her elder brother. Long Qian-er glared at Long Qian-er unhappily and went into the cabin to rest. Long Heng was left staring at the young man lying on the deck. "No matter who you are, no matter how injured you are, I'm lucky to have met you. There was a secret in the Cloud Island's Long family that no one knew. Longheng was not only a powerful martial saint, he was also an extremely rare alchemist. If the Long family knew that the trash that everyone ridiculed was actually an alchemist, what would they think? Longheng took out 10 medicinal pills from his bosom and directly fed them to Longao regardless of the consequences. Then, he massaged Longao. After an unknown amount of time, Longao groaned and opened his eyelids with difficulty. Looking at the blue sky and white clouds in front of him and an unfamiliar face, Longao instantly knew what had happened. It seemed that he had escaped alive. As for who had saved him, there was no doubt that other than Long Fu, he could not think of anyone else who could save him. Although there was pain in his body and his injuries were extremely serious, it was not easy for him to recover in a short period of time. However, Longao knew that no matter what happened, his life was saved. Who are you? You're awake. It seems that your recovery ability is not bad. I'm Longheng, from the Cloud Island's Long family. What's your name? In fact, Longheng had already guessed that the young man he had saved was a martial artist. As for his strength, Longheng could not sense it. However, in Longheng's opinion, Longao's strength was definitely not that great. I'm Longao, from the 9 states level 6 Long family. You're also from the Long family? Hearing that the other party was also from the Long family, Longheng was obviously delighted. Nodding his head, Longao asked, "Where is this place?" "My family is the level 6 Long family." "You don't know where this is? Then how did you get here?" Shrugging his shoulders helplessly, Longao grimaced in pain. With Longheng's help, he sat up and said helplessly, "I was being chased and accidentally fell into the sea." Longao did not tell the other party the truth. No matter what, to the Cloud Island and the Long family, he was just a passerby. There was no need for him to bring trouble to his savior. Longheng did not suspect anything, but he did not ask too much about the other party. This was because he knew what to ask and what not to ask. "Brother Long, this is the Outer Sea. I'm out on a mission and will return to the Cloud Island later. If you don't mind, you can return to the Cloud Island with me. What do you think?" How could Longao not know what Longheng meant? Thinking about it, with his current injuries, it would be difficult for him to return to the 9 states alone. Since that was the case, he might as well return to the Cloud Island with the other party and recover from his injuries first. Nodding his head, Longao agreed, "Sorry to disturb you." "No, I don't agree. Big brother, I don't object to you saving him. However, if you bring him back to the family, I strongly object. Your current status is already very sensitive. If you bring a stranger back, you will definitely be laughed at." Chapter 546. Longao did not say a word. "Qian you are too presumptuous. Brother. Qian if you continue to be like this, I will no longer have a sister like you." Long Qian was shocked. She did not expect that her brother would do this for a stranger. She did not dare to say anything more. However, Long Qian glared at Longao. Contempt was written all over her face. Longao smiled helplessly in his heart. Of course, he would not be calculative with such a young lady. Moreover, he had already guessed the relationship between the two of them. Just like that, Longao followed Longheng back to the Long family on Cloud Island. Along the way, Longao chatted with Longheng. Especially with Long Qian's occasional words, Longao roughly understood the situation on Cloud Island and Longheng's situation. After hearing about Longheng's treatment in the Long family, Longao sighed deeply again. This was because he realized that Longheng's situation was exactly the same as his. The only difference was that the reason why Longheng was reduced from a genius to a cripple was not because of any innate factors. Instead, it was because he was struck by lightning. As for why, Longao had not found out. After chatting along the way, Long Qian's attitude towards Longao had changed greatly. At the very least, she would call him Brother Longao. The Outer Sea was made up of countless islands. Cloud Island was an inconspicuous island among the countless islands in the Outer Sea. However, the forces on Cloud Island were not to be underestimated. Cloud Island was made up of 3 major families. They were the Class 4 Long family, Yi family, and Wang family. The 3 major families formed a tripartite balance of power. They kept each other in check. For so many years, they had lived in harmony. Brother Long, we are here. Looking at the small island that gradually appeared in front of them, Longao heaved a sigh of relief. After 4 days of rest, his injuries had improved slightly. However, it would still take a long time for him to fully recover. Longheng, I would like to ask, who is the most powerful clan among the 3? How could Longheng not know about Longao's question? He was very surprised and didn't know why Longao would ask such a question. After all, in Longheng and Long Qianer's heart, Longao was just a small warrior, even inferior to them. Brother Long, as far as I know, among the 3 great families on the Cloud Island, the strongest one is a world emperor. However, such experts are usually stationed in the great families and will not appear under normal circumstances. A world emperor? Longao was surprised to hear that the strongest warrior on the Cloud Island was a world emperor. This meant that the overall strength of the Cloud Island was very strong. However, the Cloud Island was only one of the countless islands in the outer sea. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the combined strength of the countless islands in the outer sea was. As the saying goes, there's always someone better out there. If he hadn't stumbled into the outer sea, Longao wouldn't have known that such a powerful place existed outside of the 9 prefectures. As they were talking, the boat reached the shore steadily. Longao, Longheng and Long Qian left and walked towards the city on the Cloud Island. Look, the trash of the Long family is back. Little Li, you can never control your mouth. Be careful, trouble comes from your mouth. Humph, old Zhong, what are you afraid of? I'm telling the truth. Everyone on the Cloud Island knows that this trash has been stuck in the honorable realm for 3 years. Outside the Cloud City, a man who looked extremely wretched said unhappily. When he saw Longheng and the other 2 slowly walking over, he immediately shut his mouth. Although he looked strong just now, no matter what, Longheng's strength was there for all to see. A honorable could easily kill him with a casual move. Moreover, even if Longheng was trash of the Long family, the 2 of them couldn't be compared. It was simple. Even if Longheng killed him on the spot, no one would stand out and say that he was trash. It depended on the strength and status of the other party. Useless trash, you're just trash. If it wasn't for my father not allowing me to be impulsive, I would have killed you right now. Just as the 3 of them were about to enter the Cloud City, Long Qian suddenly said fiercely. The man was so scared that he almost peed in his pants. Longheng had a good temper, but Long Qian was famous for her fiery temper. Killing people was like child's play to her. As a honorable and the #1 beauty of the Cloud Island, no one dared to provoke her. Looking at the 3 of them entering the Cloud City, little Li was so scared that he fell to the ground. It turned out that when Long Qian entered the Cloud City, she released a terrifying honorable aura. If it wasn't for Longheng holding him back, he would have died. Little Li, I told you just now, don't talk nonsense. Even if Longheng is trash, it's not something you can say. Trouble comes from the mouth. I hope you can reflect on it. Otherwise, stepping into the Cloud City, Long Qian clenched her fists tightly and scolded, look down on people. Brother, why did you hold me back? I really wanted to kill that bastard with a punch. Longheng smiled and said helplessly, it's not like it's a day or 2. You can kill one, but can you kill all of them? Brother, are you really not angry? So what if I'm angry? Longheng's voice was filled with helplessness. No matter what, he was indeed called trash by the Cloud Island, a complete trash. Originally, he soared to the sky, but he did not make a breakthrough for 3 years and was surpassed by the younger generation. In fact, Longheng and Long Qian knew that the reason why everyone hated Longheng was simple. It was because Longheng was too dazzling in the past. In just 20 years, he had become an honorable. There were countless people in the Cloud Island, but who could achieve this? Because of this, Longheng had become the target of everyone's attack. In this case, attacking Longheng, even if it was just a verbal attack, would be the most satisfying. Ridiculing a genius of the past could satisfy one's heart. Longao, who had not spoken since the beginning, also understood this situation. However, from the beginning to the end, Longao did not say anything. Because he knew what Long Hung was thinking. At this moment, Long Hung was just like how he was in the past. It was simply a replica. Longao had decided that when his injuries were slightly better, he would help Long Hung to find out what was going on. He wanted to know why the thunder calamity could restrict the development of a super genius. This matter was too strange. For some reason, Longao felt that what happened to Long Hung was a little unusual. It did not seem to be as simple as it seemed. Longao did not say much about this. After all, even he was not sure about this matter. If he said it out, it would be hard for people to believe him. In a short while, the three of them had arrived at the gate of the Long family. As one of the three major families in the Cloud City, one had to admit that the Long family was indeed imposing. Chapter 547. Brother, every time I come back, I feel like killing someone. Long Ao sighed in his heart when he heard Long Chen-er's words. Of course, he knew why Long Chen-er was like this. It turned out that when they arrived, the two guards at the entrance of the Long family's house had a trace of mockery in their eyes. Perhaps because they were afraid of Long Hung's identity, the two guards did not say anything. They did not hide their disdain. Anyone could see it. Long Ao could, Long Chen-er could, and even Long Hung could see it. However, Long Hung seemed to turn a blind eye to them and treated them as air. Long Hung smiled and said, "Brother Long, this is my family. If you don't mind, you can stay here for a while and recuperate." "Thank you." This was the first time Long Ao stepped into the outer sea and Cloud Island. He was unfamiliar with everything. Long Ao had decided to stay for a few days. Long Hung was willing, but someone else was not. When the three of them were about to enter the Long family, Long Heng and Long Chen-er were not stopped. However, Long Ao was stopped by two guards. "Are the two of you blind?" Long Chen-er's fiery temper rose again. As the daughter of the Long family's head, not to mention her strength, her identity alone was not something that the two guards dared to provoke. "Young miss, the head of the family has ordered us to look for him as soon as you come back." Not a moment of delay. Long Chen-er seemed to be surprised. She did not know why her father summoned her in such a hurry. She looked at her brother and asked, "Brother, why do you think father is looking for me?" "Go, leave this to me." Long Chen-er took a deep look at her brother. She did not dare to hesitate when her father summoned her. She immediately turned and left. Soon, she disappeared without a trace. "Long Ao is my friend. He is a disciple of the Long family." Long Hung was the young master of the family. His father was the head of the family. However, he had to tell the two guards when he brought a friend back. This in itself showed Long Hung's status in the family. Long Ao didn't say anything. No matter what, this was Long Hung's family matter. As an outsider, he shouldn't interfere. "Young master, forgive us for being presumptuous, but the patriarch has just passed down an order. No matter who it is, as long as they are not from the main family, they will have to be searched. I hope young master can understand." Before Long Ao could speak, the two guards had already taken a step forward and were about to search Long Ao. Suddenly, the two guards groaned. At this time, Long Ao's cold voice sounded. "Long Hung has already said that I am his friend. The two of you are just his watchdogs. If you don't want to die, shut your mouths. Otherwise, I will kill you right now." Long Ao's voice sounded like it came from hell, without a trace of emotion, causing the two guards to shiver. They wanted to say something, but in the end, they didn't say anything. Long Hung seemed to be a little surprised, but he felt very comfortable. No matter what, these dogs were so respectful to him 3 years ago. But now, looking at the two of them disappearing, the two guards were furious. They were humiliated by an outsider. How could they have any face left? "I have to report to the patriarch. What should we say?" "I have an idea. Follow me." After stepping into the Long family's house, Long Ao and Long Hung walked towards a small path on the left. They stopped at a secluded courtyard. It wasn't shabby, nor was it luxurious. But Longao knew that as the young master of the Long family and a genius, Longheng wouldn't live in such a place. It was almost the same. The more similar Longheng's situation was to him, the better Longao felt for him. He didn't look down on him at all. Before Longheng could say anything, Longao said, "I like it here." Longheng wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew what Longao meant. "Follow me." The two of them entered the courtyard. Longheng immediately went into a room. After a while, he came out with a small bottle in his hand. He smiled and said, "Brother Long, this is a healing pill that I refined. I don't know if it will work." An alchemist. Longao already knew that Longheng was an alchemist. If it was just an alchemist, it wouldn't be a big deal. But what was commendable was that Longheng wasn't just a strong martial artist, he was also an alchemist. The combination of these two showed Longheng's talent. After taking the pill, Longao swallowed it. His face changed slightly. The current Longao had great attainments in alchemy. Of course, he knew that the pill that Longheng refined wasn't of a low grade, but it seemed to have taken a detour. If Longheng could receive his guidance, he believed that Longheng would go even further on the path of alchemy. "Longheng, are you willing to be my disciple?" Longao's words instantly caused Longheng to be confused. "Brother Long, are you okay?" In Longheng's opinion, Longao's injuries had worsened and he had started to talk nonsense. After all, his strength was much higher than Longao's. Even if he wanted to be Longheng's disciple, it should be Longheng's disciple and not the other way round. Even if his cultivation hadn't improved in 3 years, he was still an honorable. Before Longheng could speak, Longao suddenly said something. Then, Longheng's face changed and he asked, "Brother Long, are you really an alchemist?" "I don't need to lie to you. The pill that you just gave me is of a high grade, but I can tell you clearly that you have entered the wrong path in alchemy. If you don't correct it in time, you will be in trouble." It would be a lie if he said that he wasn't shocked. "Brother Long, I won't hide it from you. I met a strange person in the past. He only taught me alchemy for 3 days. So, Longao waved his hand. He couldn't wait to ask Longheng to be his disciple. He had never been so excited in such a long time, but Longheng's talent and potential had deeply moved him. Longheng's talent in both alchemy and cultivation were top-notch. If he missed out on this opportunity, he would definitely regret it. "I will give you some time to think about it. I am going to recuperate now. If you have made a decision, let me know." Looking at the figure that entered the room, Longheng was stunned. From the beginning to the end, he had never thought that the young man that he had saved was also an alchemist. Moreover, his alchemy skills were obviously higher than his own. Agree. Reject. Longheng seemed to be in a dilemma. No matter what, Longao was obviously younger than him. It would be a little embarrassing to ask someone younger to be his disciple. Bang! At this moment, the door was kicked open. Longheng didn't even need to turn around to know who it was. His face was filled with disgust. "I heard that Xiao Sai is back. Let me see. I have missed him so much." Author's note: let's start with 5 chapters. Everyone, please support me. Tip me. Come on. Xiao Ju will completely explode today. Let's see how many people tip me today. Chapter 548. Long Ling was the grandson of the third elder and Longheng's cousin. There was no doubt that Longheng's biggest enemy was Long Ling. Long Ling was talented and had broken through to the venerable realm at a young age. However, he had been suppressed by Longheng and could not appear in front of everyone. "Fourth elder brother, why didn't you inform me that you were coming back? I could have picked you up. I don't need to trouble you. I'm a little tired. If you don't have anything else to do, please go ahead." Eviction order. Longheng hated his 8th elder brother. Before Long Ling could speak, he had already ordered him to leave. Long Ling did not expect this and was stunned on the spot. "8th young master, he's not giving you face. 8th young master, don't talk nonsense with him. Beat him up. A dog relying on its master's power." Long Ling waved his hand and sneered, "Longheng, I came to look for you out of goodwill, but you ordered me to leave. It seems that you, go ahead. Longheng didn't even give Longling a chance to speak before he asked her to leave again. This time, Longling felt that she had lost face. She had been asked to leave twice in a row. Even if the uncles could tolerate it, the aunties could not. Even if the customers could tolerate it, the prostitutes could not. Longheng, I gave you face, but you don't want it. Who do you think you are? In my eyes, you will always be trash. Trash, do you know that? For so many years, Longling had been suppressed by Longheng and could not make a comeback. Since 3 years ago, Longheng's cultivation had not improved and Longling had been looking for trouble. Longling's intention was simple. He wanted to trample on the super genius who had been suppressing him. Only then would he feel a sense of accomplishment. It was precisely because of this that Longling immediately put down everything and rushed over as soon as he knew that Longheng had returned. He wanted to trample on the former genius as soon as possible. How could Longheng not know what Longling was thinking? However, Longheng did not want to cause trouble. No matter what, Longling's father was his uncle and the grandson of the third elder. No matter what the reason was, he did not want to be entangled with Longling. I won't see you out. Just as Longheng was about to turn around and leave, Longling's face turned cold. Suddenly, he threw a punch at Long. From the beginning to the end, Longheng had not expected Longling to attack him at this time. Due to his carelessness, Longheng did not even have the chance to react. He was directly hit by Longling's fists. Longheng spat out a mouthful of blood and his face turned pale. Fortunately, Longheng's strength was above Longling's. Otherwise, Longheng would have lost his life. Longling, you trash, shut up. Aren't you very arrogant? Without giving Longheng a chance to speak, Longling continued, Longheng, I've been waiting for this opportunity for 20 years. Let me tell you, even if I break your arms and legs right now, no one will say a word. Do you believe me? Longheng's heart turned cold as he glared at his cousin in front of him. This is family. Were they still family? Longheng did not doubt Longling's words. He was no longer the genius he was 3 years ago. No matter where he went, people would flatter him. Now, no matter where he went, there would only be ridicule, disdain, and even disdain. Because of this, Longheng knew very well that if anything were to happen to him now, the family might not even care. In fact, under normal circumstances, with Longheng's strength, he would be valued no matter where he went. However, Longheng's starting point was too high. If he could not move forward, everyone would think that he was useless. Longling, you're courting death. Ha ha ha, Longheng, do you really think that you're still the same person you were 3 years ago? Longling laughed loudly. At this moment, Longling did not put Longheng in his eyes. He did not want to waste any more words. Longling's body had already rushed out. Every move was vicious and deadly. Longling did not hold back at all. He could not wait to kill Longheng. Longheng was severely injured. He endured the weakness in his body. But even so, Longheng took every move carefully. The more he did so, the angrier Longling was. After all, he was not Longheng's opponent. Longheng did not use his full strength. In his heart, Longheng always thought that even if you're heartless, I can't be heartless. Because of this, Longheng was suppressed. If this continued, he would be smashed to death by Longling sooner or later. If you want to be a piece of trash forever, don't make a move. Hearing Longao's voice, Longling's body trembled. Longheng's eyes suddenly turned cold. In his heart, he did not want to be a piece of trash forever. Moreover, Longling was suppressing him at this moment. Every move was vicious. If he was not careful, he would be killed by Longling. He treated Longling as a brother, but Longling treated him like trash. Thinking of this, Longheng exploded. He seemed to have forgotten the pain in his body. He punched out with both fists. Although Longheng and Longling were both peak honorables, the difference in their strength was huge. In just 10 moves, Longling was smashed to the ground by Longheng. But in the end, Longheng did not kill him. Longheng, you piece of trash. If you dare to hurt me, I'll make you suffer. Longheng, if you want to get out of this situation, You have to prove to yourself that you're not a piece of trash. Otherwise, you'll never be able to get out of this situation. Then, your cultivation will never be able to break through. Creak. The door was opened. Longao walked out slowly. There was no expression on his face. It was as if killing a person was a piece of cake. Longao was used to such situations. He seemed to be numb to it. Kid, who are you? Looking at the young man who suddenly appeared, Longling was sure that he did not know this person. But on Cloud Island, not to mention others, even the Yi family and the Wang family did not dare to offend the Long family. Who I am is none of your business. You're just a dog that bullies others. You're lucky that I won't kill you today. You. Slap. Before Long Ling could say anything, a slap landed on his face. Long Ling was completely stunned. He held his left cheek in disbelief. Long Ling did not expect that Long Heng would dare to slap him. He roared, Long Heng, I'm going to King kill you. Kill me. With a cold snort, Long Heng could no longer control the anger in his heart. He continuously slapped Long Ling's face with both hands. In just a few seconds, Long Heng's face was swollen like a pig's head. His subordinates were so scared that they almost wet their pants. Long Ling, listen to me. From today onwards, you'd better not provoke me. Otherwise, I'll take your life. Chapter 549. Get lost. Long Heng roared, scaring Long Ling so much that he did not dare to say anything more. He quickly ran away. Long Heng, I will find you for revenge. Just you wait. He did not take Long Ling's threat to heart. Long Heng sighed deeply and said helplessly, What did you do to me just now? Since you already know, I will not hide it from you. I just influenced your mind and made you decide something. It would be a lie to say that he was not shocked. Long Heng thought that his strength was not bad among his peers. However, he could not do anything when Longao influenced his mind. Long Heng did not continue to dwell on this issue. He asked, Longao, there is something that I am really puzzled about. I hope you can help me. Tell me. Longao's injuries were very serious. However, he endured it and found a place to sit down. Longao, I am very puzzled. Why do you want to take me as your disciple? Without waiting for Longao to reply, Long Heng continued, Even if I am an alchemist, with your eyesight, I don't think you will take a liking to me, right? So it was about this. Longao did not hide anything and said directly, Long Heng, the reason why I want to take you as my disciple is very simple. I am interested in your talent. He picked up the teacup on the stone table and took a sip. He continued, There is no doubt about your cultivation talent. It is just that there is some reason that is limiting your cultivation level. However, I am more interested in your talent in alchemy. I would like to ask, what is your alchemist rank now? Alchemists were extremely rare in Tianwu continent. It could be said that there was not even one in 10,000 alchemists. The ranks of alchemists were divided into level 1 alchemist, level 2 alchemist, level 3 alchemist, level 4 alchemist, level 5 alchemist, level 6 alchemist, level 7 alchemist, level 8 alchemist, and level 9 alchemist. Once an alchemist broke through to level 9, they would be King Alchemist, Emperor Alchemist, Venerable Alchemist, Emperor Alchemist, and God Alchemist. Longao had always been confident in his talent in alchemy. In just over a year, he had officially become an Emperor Alchemist. What kind of concept was that? Emperor Alchemist. Emperor Alchemist. Long Heng obviously knew the ranks of alchemists. When he heard this, he was shocked. There was not a single Emperor Alchemist on Cloud Island. There was not even a King Alchemist. Long Heng found it hard to imagine. If the three great families of the Cloud Island knew that Longao was an Emperor-level alchemist, it would definitely cause a sensation. Worshipping an Emperor-grade alchemist as a master, such a temptation was hard to resist no matter who it was. However, Long Heng was calm enough. The calmer he was, the more Longao admired him. Senior, I have one last question. If I follow you, will I be able to become an Emperor-grade alchemist in the future? Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Longao suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. He laughed so hard that Longheng had no idea what was going on. Senior. From Longao to Longheng, it was clear that Longheng had changed. Suddenly, Longao turned around and asked, I will ask you one last time. Are you willing to be my disciple? Master, please accept a bow from your disciple. Longao did not hesitate at all. He seemed to like this disciple very much. After the apprenticeship ceremony, Longao immediately imparted the alchemy Dao that he had comprehended to Longheng. Ask me anything you don't understand. I will go and treat my injuries now. Thank you, Master. It would be a lie to say that he was not happy. In the room, inside the dragon seal space, as soon as Longao entered, he immediately asked impatiently, Long Fu, Longheng really has a lightning physique? A large part of the reason why Longao insisted on taking Longheng as his disciple was because Long Fu had told him that Longheng was not trash at all. Instead, he had a rare thunder and lightning physique. Although this physique was not as good as the desolate physique, it was still very powerful. It was precisely because of this that Longao listened to Long Fu's words and took Longheng in as his first disciple. Master, Longheng does have a thunder physique. He has already passed the lightning tribulation. If he is taught well, he can be a good helper in the future. Longao nodded and did not continue to dwell on this issue. Since he had accepted Longheng as his disciple, he would teach him well. Long Fu, did you save me? Yes. Longao originally wanted to ask, but in the end, he did not. Because according to the situation in the dragon seal space, it was impossible to kill tens of millions of spirit beasts. He had just sensed that there were tens of millions of spirit beasts' corpses and souls in the blood pool. Once the refining was successful, it meant that he would have a beast tide and corpse slaves. What kind of concept was that? Longao was looking forward to the appearance of the corpse slaves in the beast tide. At that time, the strength of the dragon sect would increase by 100 or even 1,000 times. It was also at that time that the dragon sect would have the capital to contend against the four major forces. Master, the reason why we were able to eliminate the beast tide was because of the old master. Before the old master disappeared, he left a trace of power in the dragon seal space. That was why I was able to eliminate the beast tide. I see. Longao did not doubt Long Fu's words. In his opinion, if Long Fu did not have the help of the primordial divine dragon, it would be impossible for him to eliminate the beast tide with the current situation of the dragon seal space. As for Long Fu, he did not tell the truth to Longao, including the appearance of the heavenly Dao. In other words, the moment the divine dragon disappeared, he gave me and Long Chong a portion of power, right? That's right. Master, I hope that you can refine this power as soon as possible. This is the essence of the old master's life. It's different from an inheritance. Once you refine it, you can advance to a divine path warrior. Moreover, your cultivation speed will be even faster. Very surprised, Longao was pleasantly surprised. According to Long Fu, both he and Long Chong had obtained the power of the primordial divine dragon. Once they refined it, both he and Long Chong could advance to a divine path warrior. Moreover, there would be no inheritance restriction. Master, your injuries this time are not light. Unless it's a last resort, don't start a fight with others. Otherwise, if there are any sequelae, the consequences will be unimaginable. Nodding his head, how could Longao not know what Long Fu said? As if thinking of something, Longao suddenly asked, Long Fu, have you been to the outer sea before? Nodding his head, Long Fu said expressionlessly, I have. Back then, the two old masters brought me to the outer sea. It can be said that in the Tianwu continent, the outer sea is the most mysterious. It also has the most powerful warriors. Therefore, master should be extremely careful. Longao also thought of this point. Because there were countless islands in the outer sea, a small cloud island was already so powerful. One could imagine how terrifying the entire outer sea was. Chapter 550. Longao sat quietly in the room, inhaling and exhaling qi as he quietly recuperated. Just as Long Fu had said, his injuries were too severe. It would not be easy for him to recover. While he was recuperating, Longao focused on comprehending the Chaos Stone Tablet. He hoped that he could comprehend the powerful martial skills in the Chaos Stone Tablet as soon as possible. 6 hours later. Longheng, come out if you have the guts. Longheng, you coward. Bang. The door was kicked open again. Long Ling walked in with a young man who looked to be in his 30s. Both of them looked furious and murderous. The helper that Long Ling had found this time was the third brother of the Long clan. He was also his elder brother, Long Fan. He was an advanced supreme being and was quite famous in the Long clan. Long Fan was different from Long Ling. He was extremely ruthless, especially when it came to his enemies. He would not show any mercy. This time, Long Ling had found Long Fan to teach Longheng a lesson. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to swallow his anger. Longheng, weren't you very strong just now? Why are you a coward now? Looking at the two people in front of him, Longheng's face was extremely gloomy. If it was Long Ling, he would have the confidence to win. But Long Fan, Longheng had no confidence at all. No matter what, the gap between a supreme being and a supreme being was too big. Fourth brother, you are too much. Third brother. Waving his hand, Long Fan snorted and said angrily, look at how powerful you are now. How am I your third brother? You should be my fourth brother. They were here to pick a fight. How could Longheng not know the purpose of Long Fan and Long Ling's visit? As the saying goes, when you hit the small one, the big one will come out. Long Fan was obviously unhappy. He looked at Longheng arrogantly and said, fourth brother, seeing that you and I are brothers, I will give you a chance this time. Longheng was very curious. He did not know what Long Fan meant. Fourth brother, as long as you kneel down and kowtow to admit your mistake, the grudge between you two will be written off, and I won't pursue it any further. What do you think? Long Fan relied on his supreme being's strength to not put Longheng in his eyes at all. In fact, Long Fan and Long Ling were the same. Both of them were jealous of Longheng in the past. But now, they wanted to step on him twice as much. Third brother. Longheng, are you even a martial artist? I really regret taking you in as a disciple. Third brother, what the hell? Longheng. Seeing his master walk out of the room, Longheng lowered his head in shame, but there was nothing he could do. After all, Longheng was very afraid of his third brother. His third brother was a martial saint, and he was only a martial saint. They were not on the same level. Longheng and Longao's circumstances were very similar. However, there was one thing that was completely different. Longao was much stronger than Longheng and had much more self-esteem. Longao also understood the disciple that he had just accepted very well. He sighed helplessly. Who are you? Third brother, it's this trash who instigated Longheng to beat me up. Third brother, you must avenge me. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Longheng had just escaped. Long Ling knew clearly that it was all thanks to this person in front of him. Otherwise, Longheng would not have dared to beat him up so easily even if he was given 10,000 guts. Who are you? Are you fourth brother's master? Long Fan was very surprised when he heard that the other party was fourth brother's master. He had to admit that Long Fan was much calmer than Long Ling. One should know that even if fourth brother was a trash, he was still a martial saint. Anyone who could become the master of a martial saint would know what kind of person he was. However, Long Fan could clearly sense that the other party's aura was not strong at all. He was even seriously injured. Because of this, he became more and more curious. Why would fourth brother want to be a disciple of such a trash? Trash-worshipping trash? Could it be that the combination of trash and trash was no longer trash? Third brother, this is my master, Longao. He is from the rank 6 Long family in the 9 continents. Rank 6 Long family? Ha 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 ha, fourth brother, you are making me laugh. Rank 6 Long family? Rank 6 Long family? Both Long Fan and Long Ling laughed crazily when they heard that Longao was from the rank 6 Long family. It was as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. As everyone knew, the Long clan was divided into 9 levels. They were the level 9 Long clan, level 8 Long clan, level 7 Long clan, level 6 Long Clan, level 5 Long Clan, level 4 Long Clan, level 3 Long Clan, level 2 Long Clan, and level 1 Long Clan. Long family had a strict hierarchy. Cloud Island Long family was rank 4 Long family, which was much higher than rank 6 Long family. Therefore, when they heard that Longao was from the rank 6 Long family, they laughed and looked down on him. Third brother. Shut up, Longheng. I have already said that I am not your third brother. If you dare to call me that again, I will cut off your tongue. Ignoring Longheng, Long Fan snorted and said, so you are a rank 6 Long family expert. Sorry for the disrespect. Sir Longao, I would like to ask, since you are a disciple of the Long family in the 9 states, why did you come to my Cloud Island? Are you plotting something? Framing someone else? Regarding Long Fan's insidiousness, Longao naturally knew clearly, but he did not place the two people in his eyes. Shaking his head helplessly, Longao suddenly said, mud cannot support a wall. I don't need such a disciple. Hearing this, Longheng was shocked. Without waiting for Longao to finish, Longheng immediately said, Master, I know what to do. Turning around abruptly, Longheng stared at the two people in front of him and said coldly, since you do not treat me as a brother, forgive me for not seeing you out. Mitch, Longheng, you are really shameless. Do you think that you can soar to the sky with a useless master? Let me tell you clearly, stop dreaming here. Third brother, why waste your breath on trash? Let's just cripple him. Later, we'll go look for father and the patriarch. Even if Longheng brought an outsider into the family with ill intentions, hehe, we'll see how Longheng dies. Longheng, I will give you one last chance. Kneel down and admit your mistake, and I will spare your life. Not taking Longao seriously, Long Fan stared coldly at Longheng. His aura had already suppressed Longheng. A martial honorable was like trash in front of a martial honorable. Not daring to be careless, Longheng immediately released his aura to resist Long Fan's suppression. However, there was no doubt that a martial honorable was not on the same level as a martial honorable. Just when Long Fan thought that he was going to win, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from Longheng's body, causing Long Fan to be startled. Impossible. Long Fan could not figure out how a martial honorable could have such a powerful aura. Chapter 551. Longheng, how dare you set me up? Shaking their heads in disdain, Longao and Longheng's faces were filled with contempt. But at this moment, Long Fan suddenly attacked, not giving Longheng a chance. Once Longheng missed, he would be crippled even if he didn't die. Longheng had never expected that Long Fan would suddenly kill him. After all, Longheng was still a supremacy. Not to mention a sneak attack, he couldn't even win against Long Fan in a head-on battle. But to everyone's disbelief, Long Fan's sneak attack came quickly and left even faster. Long Fan's body landed heavily on the ground with a loud thud, accompanied by a miserable cry. You. Slap. 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 Before Long Ling could speak, he saw a blur in front of him. Then, the sound of slapping rang out. In just a few seconds, Long Ling was beaten to the point that even his mother couldn't recognize him. It was Longao who had just slapped him. What a joke! Longao was a true sage-to-be martial artist. Whether it was a supremacy or a supremacy, they were just a joke in front of him, even if Longao was severely injured. Longao, how dare you hit me? Long Fan struggled to stand up. His body was on the verge of collapsing. At this moment, he finally understood that Lin Fan was actually a supremacy. He was just pretending to be weak. Long Fan clenched his fists tightly at the thought of almost dying in Lin Fan's hands. He couldn't wait to tear Lin Fan into pieces. But in the end, Long Fan held himself back because he knew that Lin Fan was much stronger than him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been beaten up so carelessly. Longheng, from today onwards, we are no longer brothers. If you dare to cause trouble again, don't blame me for being ruthless. Ha ha ha, good, good. Longheng, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have a useless master. I will let you know the price of doing so later. Let's go. Long Ling was the most miserable one. He was beaten up twice and didn't even look human. Fortunately, Longao and Long Hung were merciful. Otherwise, Long Ling wouldn't be as simple as a pig's head. After the two of them left, Long Hung immediately said anxiously, "Master, I did not expect you to be so powerful." Long Hung was no fool. Even though his master was severely injured, he still managed to defeat Long Fan without anyone noticing. Didn't that mean that his master had already broken through the Supreme Being realm and reached the Great Supreme Being realm? The nihility boundary was divided into 8 realms. From low to high, they were divided into Disaster Realm, Venerable Realm, Supreme Realm, Earth Venerable Realm, Empyrean Realm, Great Venerable Realm, World King Realm, and World Emperor Realm. Above the Sovereign Realm was the Earthly Venerable Realm. Could Master be an Earth Venerable Warrior? Perhaps his master was an Empyrean martial artist, or even a Great Empyrean martial artist. Long Hung didn't dare imagine that his master would be a World King or World Emperor. After all, the strongest person in the entire Long family was only a World Emperor. If Longao told Long Hung about the fact that he was a half-step sage, he wondered if Long Hung would be scared silly. "Long Hung, let me tell you something. Regardless of whether you can do it or not, you must do it." Seeing how serious his master was, Long Hung nodded his head. "You are too indecisive and this will affect your cultivation. If you continue like this, you will never be able to attain the path of God." Path of God? Hearing his master's words, Long Hung exclaimed. He seemed to have thought of something and immediately asked, "Master, are you a path of God?" "Get lost." Long Hung stuck out his tongue. Of course, he had heard of the legends of the path of God. As a martial artist who stood at the peak of martial arts, the path of God was undoubtedly a realm that all martial artists dreamed of attaining. Path of God. From the beginning, Long Hung had never thought that he would be able to break through the path of God. His dream was simple, which was to reach the illusionary divine stage. However, everyone had ambitions, especially martial artists. No matter who it was, no one would not want to reach a higher level. Longao was no exception, and Long Hung was no exception. "Master, do I really have a chance of attaining the path of God in the future?" "Yes, you have the rare thunder physique. As long as you change yourself, the path of God is not a dream." It would be a lie to say that Long Hung was not excited. At the thought of attaining the path of God, Long Hung's blood seemed to boil. This was the most basic instinct of a martial artist to reach the peak of martial arts. "Master, don't worry. I will definitely change myself." Long Hung seemed to have thought of something and said worriedly, "Master, you have just beaten up Long Fan. If nothing goes wrong, Long Fan will soon find someone to help him." Waving his hand, Long Ao could not be bothered to dwell on this matter. He said, "Follow me." Long Hung was helpless. He did not want to think of his master's terrifying strength. He could only quietly follow his master and leave the Long family for Yun City Bazaar. As the only big city on Yun Island, Yun City could be said to be extremely prosperous. "Master, I have almost bought all the herbs that you wanted. What should we do next?" Long Hung was eager to try as he really liked the art of alchemy. If he could become a powerful emperor-level alchemist in his lifetime, he could die without regrets. Alchemy is not too late. Later, I will do my best to help you unlock the thunder physique. If nothing goes wrong, your cultivation speed will increase by at least 3 times. Hearing his master's words, Long Hung swallowed his saliva hard. It was too ruthless. Long Hung certainly knew what it meant to increase his cultivation speed by 3 times. Previously, his cultivation speed was already able to look down on the entire Yun Island. If it increased by 3 times, wouldn't he be able to look down on all the islands in the outer sea? Thinking about it made him very excited. However, Long Hung did not seem to believe it. After all, Long Hung did not know Long Ao very well. Long Ao did not care about what Long Hung was thinking. Reality and time would prove everything. "Hey, isn't that the genius Long Hung from the Long family? I was wondering why my right eyelid kept twitching today. It turns out that I met a benefactor. Genius Long Hung, wait for me, wait for me. Master, let's go." Longheng's face was filled with disgust. However, at this time, Wang Yifei had caught up and stopped the two of them. Genius Longheng, when did you become mute? This is a tragedy. Back then, you were the #1 genius of Yun Island. How did you become like this? You are so pitiful. How about this, you follow me in the future. I will definitely let you live a good life. How about it? Wang Yifei's eyes were filled with mockery. He was biting on a piece of straw. Chapter 552. Whose dog is this? Although Longheng had only followed Longao for less than a day, his personality had obviously changed. He was no longer the humble lad from before. Master, you don't know. This dog is called Wang Yifei. He is a good-for-nothing disciple of the Wang family. Other than doing bad things, he has never done anything good. Wang Yifei was dumbfounded when he heard the two of them scolding him. As a direct disciple of the Wang family, he had never been humiliated like this before. It was simply unbearable. Even if he could tolerate it, he couldn't tolerate it. Longheng, have you King lost your mind today? Trash. Lad, who are you scolding? Longao laughed in disdain and replied, I will scold whoever replies. Longao and Longheng's teasing immediately caused waves of mocking laughter to come from all around, causing Wang Yifei to completely lose face. Longheng, seems like you have eaten a leopard's guts today. But it doesn't matter. As long as you dare to hit me once, I will admit that you are strong. Come, hit me. Wang Yifei and Longheng were sworn enemies. But on Cloud Island, it seemed that everyone disliked Longheng. After all, Longheng was the #1 genius of Cloud Valley 3 years ago. Ever since Longheng turned from a prodigy to a good-for-nothing, Wang Yifei had been looking for trouble all the time. His favorite trick was to beat him up. Wang Yifei knew that Longheng wouldn't dare to hit him. Otherwise, unless Wang Yifei was out of his mind. Grabbing Longheng's fist, Wang Yifei looked like he was going to hit his face. But in reality, he didn't use any strength. In the end, Wang Yifei was just pretending. He knew that Longheng wouldn't dare to hit him. Looking at this disciple of his, Longao was very depressed. However, he was not too anxious because he knew that things like character could not be changed in a short period of time. Boring. I thought that trash had changed today. Turns out, he is still a piece of trash. Wang Yifei's men mocked Longheng crazily. The surrounding crowd shook their heads helplessly. Trash will always be trash. Longheng, let me tell you clearly, you are worse than trash in my eyes. Hey, I almost forgot that you brought your master with you this time. I would like to see how good your master is. Letting go of Longao's hand, Wang Yifei grabbed Longao's right hand and pulled it towards his left cheek. As he pulled, he mocked, hit me. *CK, your disciple is trash. Even your master is trash. Come on, hit me, hit me. At this moment, Wang Yifei was as arrogant as he could be, causing sounds of contempt to come from all around. But Wang Yifei turned a blind eye to it. He still grabbed Longao's fist and pretended to smash it on his face. You really want me to hit you? Yes, hit me. Come on, hit me. Looking at his master, Longao seemed to have guessed what his master was going to do. He was shocked. Before Longheng could stop his master, Longao's right fist had already punched out. Along with the screams, Longao didn't care about anything else. He directly beat Wang Yifei left and right, punching him left and right. He didn't stop at all. In just a few minutes, Wang Yifei had been beaten beyond recognition. Even his mother couldn't recognize him. Seeing Longao beating Wang Yifei up, everyone, including Longheng, was dumbfounded. No one expected this young man to really hit Wang Yifei. He was simply courting death. Wang Yifei was the direct disciple of the Wang family. In Yun City, even the disciples of the other two big families wouldn't dare to offend the Wang family. This was because the Wang family had a trump card. Both the Yi family and the Long family were afraid of them. Screams were heard continuously, scaring everyone. Longheng swallowed his saliva and said helplessly, Master, you have beaten Wang Yifei up. The Wang family will definitely not let this go. We will be in trouble. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. Longao didn't put the Wang family in his eyes. According to Longheng, the strongest among the three big families of Yun Island was the World Emperor. In Longao's eyes, World Emperors were nothing. Not to mention World Emperors, even sage-to-be martial artists wouldn't be put in Longao's eyes. Unless a saint came. Let me ask you, are there any saints on the Cloud Island? Longheng, you bastard. How dare you provoke me? I'll never let you off. Bastard. It was unknown whether Wang Yifei was seriously injured or he was so angry that he directly fainted. Seeing this situation, the four men immediately carried Wang Yifei away. Master, let's go back. Longao knew what Longheng was thinking. But things had already come to this point. Even if they wanted to avoid it, they couldn't. I have something to do. Follow me. Longheng sighed helplessly. No matter what, Wang Yifei was a direct disciple of the Wang family. Now that his master had beaten him up, the Wang family would definitely come looking for trouble. If it was 3 years ago, it wouldn't matter even if he offended the Wang family. But now, the situation was completely different. From a genius to a trash, his status in the Long family had plummeted. If the Wang family came looking for trouble, Longheng was sure that the family wouldn't cover for him. Talking about the family, Longheng slowly became sad. Longao found some herbs and then went to the restaurant. He ordered a table of dishes and wine and began to eat and drink with Longheng. Longao's intention was simple. He wanted to wait for the Wang family here because he didn't want to cause trouble for his disciple. The Wang family and the third-grade Long family were the three big families in Yun City. Longao could imagine that if the Wang family came looking for trouble, the Long family wouldn't interfere. Rather than that, he might as well wait for the Wang family here. Longao didn't want to cause trouble, but he wasn't afraid of it. He had always had a principle. If people didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If people offended him, he would pay them back double. Longheng, since you are my disciple, I will teach you a cultivation skill and a martial technique. Remember, no matter who it is, you are not allowed to teach them. Do you understand? Longheng was overjoyed. He didn't even think about it and immediately agreed, Master, don't worry. I will remember. Longao asked Long Fu for a stronger cultivation skill and taught Longheng the destruction seal. According to Long Fu, Longheng was born with a lightning body. Once he cultivated the destruction seal, it would be twice the result with half the effort. Because of this, Longao finally decided to teach the destruction seal to Longheng. Next, Longao prepared to concoct an elixir specially for Longheng. Once it was successful, Longheng's stagnant cultivation would be lifted. Chapter 553. At first, Longheng did not pay much attention to the destruction seal that Longao had imparted to him. At first, he was excited and thought that his master would impart him some powerful martial arts and skills. However, when Longao finished imparting the skills to him, Longheng was not satisfied. However, when Longheng tried to comprehend it, he was shocked to find that the martial arts and skills that his master had imparted to him were extremely powerful. Especially the destruction seal. Although he could only cultivate the first 4 seals with his current strength, the power of the first 4 seals was terrifying. Longheng took a deep breath and said, Master, the destruction seal that you have imparted to me is too powerful. I wonder if there are any that are weaker. When Longao heard Longheng's words, he spat out the wine that he had just drunk. Longheng, are you trying to trick me? I can tell you this. Once you cultivate the destruction seal to the great completion stage, even if you can't become invincible among the same level of martial artists, you can still run amok. Longheng nodded. He did not doubt Master's words at all. Master, you have misunderstood me. I can't just have one martial arts skill. If I were to spar with others, I would use the destruction seal immediately. What if I am not careful? Although Longheng did not finish his sentence, the meaning behind his words was clear. Longao was not a fool. He could tell what Longheng meant. He stared at him fiercely. Then, he randomly picked 2 martial arts skills and imparted them to Longheng. At this moment, There was a commotion outside. Longheng's face changed. However, Longao waved his hand and said, "Sit down and don't move." Longheng did not dare to disobey his master. In a short while, 23 people rushed in. Among them was Wang Yifei, who had just been beaten black and blue. He hit the small one again, and the big one came. Seeing this situation, Longao seemed to be a little irritated. "Brother, it's Longheng and that trash. They beat me up." Wang Quan stared at the young man beside Longheng. He came to the table and sat down. He asked coldly, "Who are you? Why are you looking for trouble with the Wang family?" "I am looking for trouble with the Wang family." Seeing that the other party didn't think much of him, Wang Quan's heart skipped a beat. As the top genius of the Wang family, Wang Quan was not a reckless person. If not for the fact that his younger brother had been beaten up to the point that even his mother could not recognize him, Wang Quan would definitely not have come out. In fact, Wang Yifei had also embellished the story. The Wang family is really not as good as its reputation. Just now, many people were present. It was Wang Yifei who grabbed my fist and forced me to hit him. He even begged me to hit him. If you were me, what would you do? Left speechless by the other party's question, Wang Quan glared fiercely at his younger brother. He clearly knew what kind of person Yifei was, but seeing his own younger brother being beaten up like this, Wang Quan was still somewhat angry. As the saying goes, before you hit a dog, you have to look at its owner. Plus, this was the Cloud Island, the Wang clan's territory. "Longheng, is this person your master?" "Exactly." Seeing that Longheng was neither servile nor overbearing, Wang Quan was even more surprised. This was because Longheng had been unable to break through to the Supreme Being realm 3 years ago, and had been unable to do so for 3 whole years. He had long been reduced to a prisoner, and no matter how much people mocked him, Longheng had to endure it. But now, Wang Quan knew clearly that the reason why Longheng was so confident was definitely not because of the Long family. It was because everyone knew that after Longheng turned from a genius to a good-for-nothing, he had fallen out of favor in the Long family. Could it be this person? Ever since he came in, Wang Quan could not see through this person. The more it was so, the more shocked Wang Quan was. "Who are you?" "Longao of the 9 prefectures." "You are from the Long family of the 9 prefectures?" For some reason, Wang Quan seemed to be relieved when he heard that the other party was from the Long family of the 9 prefectures. This made Longao confused, and he did not know what Wang Quan was up to. "Longheng, you brought outsiders to attack the Wang family without permission. You have to give me an explanation. Otherwise, I will report to the family and personally go to the Long family to ask for an explanation." Hearing this, Longheng's face turned even colder. However, Longao said, "This is a grudge between me and the Wang family. It has nothing to do with the Long family." "What a joke. I only have one thing to say. If you are unhappy, come and find me. I will accompany you." Before Wang Quan could speak, Longao said again, "I wonder if you are going to fight or run now?" Contempt. Longao did not put the other party in his eyes at all. Longheng could feel it, and so could Wang Quan. However, there was one person who could not see it. In Wang Yifei's opinion, his elder brother was a supreme warrior. If he wanted to kill the other party, it would be a piece of cake. "Brother, don't talk nonsense with him. Kill him." "Shut up. You can't do anything right." If there were no outsiders around, Wang Quan would have slapped his younger brother. You could have provoked anyone, but you had to provoke such a malefic person. With his strength, he could not see through the other party's strength. This was enough to explain the problem. Wang Yifei did not dare to take any action. However, Wang Yifei was confused by Wang Quan's scolding. He did not know what was going on. This time, he came to find his elder brother to take revenge. But what was the result? "Brother, get lost." With a slap, Wang Yifei's body was sent flying. Everyone in the Wang family was dumbfounded. They immediately carried Wang Yifei and ran away. Since you don't put the Wang family in your eyes, there is nothing more to say. I know that I am not your opponent, but you are too arrogant. What do you want? Set up an arena and fight to the death. Just you. Wang Quan did not care at all. Because he could see that the other party's cultivation had surpassed the supreme warrior. He had even broken through to the earthly venerable realm. Could he be a heavenly venerable or a great venerable? Wang Quan set up an arena for 2 reasons. Firstly, he wanted to kill the other party. Secondly, he wanted to regain his face. He wanted to tell everyone in the Cloud Island that the dignity of the Wang family was inviolable. Otherwise, Wang Quan could report this matter to the Wang family. At that time, the Wang family would naturally send experts to intercept and kill the other party. You don't dare. It's not that I don't dare. I am not interested in an arena battle without a wager. Hearing this, Wang Quan's face froze. He knew clearly that ordinary treasures would not be able to move the other party. In that case, what should he use as a wager? Since you are in such a good mood, I will make the decision. As long as you can defeat Wang Hao, I will give you the Wang family's treasure, the Green Destiny Sword. But if you lose, you will have to kneel in front of the Wang family and kowtow 10,000 times. What do you think? Looking at the middle-aged man who suddenly appeared, Wang Quan stood up and bowed respectfully, "Uncle." Chapter 554. Master, the Wang family patriarch is Wang Luo, a world king master. Longao indifferently nodded. Even though the Wang family patriarch was here, his expression was still indifferent. The more Longao acted like this, the more mysterious he seemed. Even Wang Luo was surprised. Was this person fearless? Long Heng, will your Long family interfere in this matter? Wang Luo didn't fear this person. No matter what, this person came from the 9 provinces and was beyond his reach. Moreover, the Outer Sea Island was the Wang family's territory. Before Long Heng could speak, Long Ao had already said, "The Long family will not interfere in this matter." Long Ao was well aware of the Long family's situation. If this were 3 years ago, with Long Heng's status in the Long family would likely resist the Wang family. But now, Long Heng had been reduced from a genius to trash. The Long family would absolutely not do anything. Long Heng gratefully glanced at his master and then said, "Whether or not the Long family interferes, I will stand by master's side. We will live and die together." If Long Heng were to say such words in normal times, he would definitely provoke ridicule. But now, no one dared to laugh at him. "How about you? 6 hours from now, in the square arena, we will have a life or death battle." "All right." Watching the 2 Wang family patriarchs leave, before Long Ao could ask, Long Heng said, "Master, the Wang Hao that Wang Luo spoke of is the true #1 genius of the Wang family. He is only 34 years old and has already broken through to the peak Great Venerable realm. It is said that this person will reach the World King realm within a year." If so, then Long Ao knew that the Wang family's Wang Hao's talent was truly amazing. A peak Great Venerable at 34 years of age. Not to mention the Wang family, but even in the entire Sky Province, this was a top-level existence. Long Heng's face was filled with worry. In his eyes, a peak Great Venerable was an unreachable existence. No matter how fierce his master was, he still wouldn't be a world king martial artist. With a deep sigh, Long Heng said guiltily, "Master, I've implicated you this time. Otherwise, you wouldn't have provoked Wang Yifei and the Wang family. You wouldn't have fought with Wang Hao to the death." "Master, I'm sorry." Looking at Long Heng, who had a face full of guilt, Long Ao felt extremely pained. He said, "You don't have to worry about the duel between Wang Hao and I. Tell me, what is the origin of the Green Destiny Sword?" At the mention of the Green Destiny Sword, Long Heng seemed a little surprised. He said, "Master, I never thought that the Wang clan would bring out the Green Destiny Sword in this battle of life and death." Long Heng took a deep breath and said, "Master, legend has it that the old ancestor of the Wang clan obtained a divine sword by accident. With this sword, he was invincible in the outer sea. However, he was killed by a supreme Dao martial artist in the end. Since then, the Green Destiny Sword has become the Wang clan's heirloom." "Long Heng, do you want the Green Destiny Sword?" Long Heng nodded and answered honestly, "Yes." Long Heng was not a fool. Of course, he knew what his master meant by asking this. If he said that he did not want the green destiny sword, even he would not believe it. After all, the legend of the green destiny sword was there. Master, you are injured. I have medicinal pills with me. They can temporarily suppress the injury. Longheng was very worried. However, since his master had already made his decision, he could not say anything. However, Longheng had already decided that regardless of whether his master won or lost, he would stand by his master's side without hesitation. They would live and die together. The moment the Wang clan left the restaurant, they immediately spread the news throughout the Cloud Island. The news that Longheng's master was going to fight the number one genius of the Wang clan, Wang Hao, to the death in an arena spread instantly. Everyone who heard the news was shocked. No one believed that someone would be so blind as to challenge the number one genius of the Wang clan. However, the number one genius of the Wang clan, Wang Hao, was not only talented, but also very strong. He was known as the number one genius of the younger generation of the Cloud Island. His cultivation had even reached peak Great Venerate. Everyone who heard the news started guessing who Longheng's master was. However, when they thought about how Longheng was a piece of trash, their master would definitely not be any better. Everyone seemed to lose a lot of interest in this battle. However, countless people wanted to see Wang Hao's battle, so they all rushed to the square. As for the Long clan, when the Long clan's patriarch, Long Bai, heard the news, his face instantly darkened. He went to find Long Ling and Long Fan and asked directly, "Have you seen Longheng's master?" Long Bai loved his son as much as he loved him. 3 years ago, Longheng had brought him glory. However, in the past 3 years, his son had made him lose face. Even so, Long Bai had never given up. However, in the end, he had always failed. A year ago, Long Bai had deliberately distanced himself from his son. It was not that he was willing to give up, but that he really could not face his son. "Uncle, this is what happened." Long Ling immediately told him everything that had happened. However, not only did Long Ling exaggerate, but he also inverted right and wrong. He described Longao as an unforgivable evil. After hearing this, Long Bai's face darkened even more. He immediately went to find Long Qian and asked, "Qian, where did this Longao come from?" Long Qian had never seen her father like this before. She was shocked and did not dare to hide anything. She told her father everything that had happened at sea. The 6th grade Long clan. It seems that this person's strength is not higher than an earthly venerable. If that is the case, why did he accept the Wang clan's challenge? Strange, strange. Long Bai could not figure it out. After all, he knew the background of the 6th grade Long clan very well. Under normal circumstances, the 6th grade Long clan did not have an earthly venerable. They did not even have a venerable or a prime. If I'm not mistaken, this person should not be from the 6th grade Long clan. Who is he? Longheng's master, Longao, had accepted Wang Hao's challenge. In just an hour, the square was filled with people waiting anxiously. In fact, everyone was waiting for Wang Hao. As for Longao, no one knew him. "Hao, kill this person for me." "Yes, father." Wang Hao was dressed in blue. His resolute face was full of vicissitudes. Everyone knew that Wang Hao was the number one genius of the Wang clan. Not only was he extremely talented, he was also extraordinarily hardworking. He had gone out to train all year round. Because of this, everyone admired Wang Hao. They wanted to see how much this number one person of Cloud Island had grown. Wang Hao's arrival at the square immediately caused a commotion. Countless girls shouted and praised their idol. Some girls even confessed on the spot. If they were not held back by their families, who knew what would have happened? A woman's charm was not scary. What was scary was a man's charm. Just as everyone was shouting for Wang Hao, a figure walked over from afar. Others might not know Longao, but they knew the number one trash of Cloud Island, Longheng. Chapter 555. He had long, fiery red hair and was dressed in black. Longao stood out like a sore thumb. "Look, isn't that Longheng's master, Longao? Damn, he's so young. I don't think he's even 20 years old." Really? He's not even 20 years old, but he wants to challenge Wang Hao? Is he out of his mind? Maybe he's really strong. Get lost. He's just a kid who's still wet behind the ears. How can he be so strong? If I'm not wrong, he won't even be able to withstand 3 moves from Wang Hao. In my opinion, he won't even be able to withstand 1 move. Longheng wanted to punch each and every one of them when he heard the mockery and ridicule coming from all around, but Longao stopped him. Calm down, Longheng, I'll use the destruction seal later. Watch carefully. Longheng was delighted. He was naturally looking forward to his master using the destruction seal. A short while later, Longao arrived at the center of the square and stepped onto the arena. Who the hell are you? How dare you challenge young Master Wang Hao? That's right. Your disciple is trash, and your master is even more trash. Get down here and stop embarrassing yourself. Long Bai, who was watching the battle from afar, seemed to be used to this. Long Qian-er was about to charge up and seek justice for her brother. Qian-er, what are you doing? Father, didn't you hear? They're all mocking my brother. That's your brother's business. It has nothing to do with you. Stand there properly. Long Bai looked at the young man on the arena. For some reason, he seemed to be waiting for a surprise. This was his intuition. His intuition told him that the young man on the arena was not simple at all. You're Longheng's master, Longao? That's right. You're the #1 genius of the Wang family, the #1 genius of the Cloud Island, Wang Hao? That's right. The two of them stopped talking and stared at each other. Longao had deliberately suppressed his cultivation to the peak of the Great Venerate realm so that he could conceal the destruction seal for Longheng to comprehend. Everyone around the arena fell silent when they saw that the two of them had stopped talking. Although no one was optimistic about Longao, the battle was about to begin. Everyone still understood the basic respect. You're very powerful. If I'm not mistaken, you should also be a great venerable. You're not a simple person either. No one could hear the conversation between the two. But at this time, Wang Hao suddenly said, if I can't defeat you within 20 moves, it'll be my loss. 20 moves? Hearing that Wang Hao needed 20 moves to defeat his opponent, everyone was shocked. Those with quick reactions had already guessed that Wang Hao's opponent should be quite strong. Otherwise, Wang Hao wouldn't need to do this. If I can't defeat you within 10 moves, it'll be my loss. F***ck motherfucker, how arrogant. Young Master Wang Hao, kill him. Just as Longao finished speaking, a wave of curses came from all around. Wang Hao said that he could defeat you in 20 moves because young Master Wang Hao had the ability to do so. F***ck, what ability do you have? 10 moves. No one knew just what gave Longao such confidence. But it had to be known that Wang Hao was a true peak great venerable. Unless one was a world king, no one dared to say that they could defeat young Master Wang Hao within 10 moves. This was simply nonsense. Below the arena stage, Longheng clenched his fists as he looked at his master standing on the arena stage. He simply ignored the taunts and taunts coming from all around. At this time, Longheng was nervous to the extreme. He simply didn't know what was going on with his master. Even a great venerable martial artist would be wounded, and those wounds were extremely heavy. If this was the case, then his master had already suffered a loss. Master, what is going on? On the arena stage, Wang Hao didn't show the least bit of disdain or ridicule as he heard Wang Hao's shameless boasting. Instead, his expression became even more dignified. This was because after all these years of adventuring outside, he could instinctively sense that this person was an extremely dangerous character. The more confident Wang Hao appeared, the more vigilant he was. Please. Longao had a very good impression of this Wang Hao in front of him. Whether they were friend or foe, just the word please was enough to prove just what sort of person Wang Hao was. Longao also said the word please. At this time, Longao and Wang Hao moved at the same time. In the blink of an eye, they were already engaged in a fierce battle. A single move turned into 100 moves. In other words, although it seemed as if the two of them had exchanged 100 moves, the truth was that they had only exchanged a single move. Victory and defeat were evenly matched. Enduring the waves of pain coming from his body, Longao clearly knew that he had to end this battle quickly. Otherwise, he would be in great trouble. First, his injuries were too severe. He couldn't fight for too long, otherwise his body would automatically explode. Long Fu had already warned him about this. Second, he was forcefully suppressing his cultivation. If his injuries were too severe and he suffered a backlash, he would be in great danger. It was because of this that Longao knew he had to end this battle as quickly as possible. Long Heng, watch carefully. Long Heng, watch carefully. Hearing the young man's sudden shout, everyone looked at Long Heng curiously. They didn't know what the young man wanted Long Heng to see. Could it be that he wanted to see how Long Heng would defeat Wang Hao in 10 moves? Until now, no one believed that Longao could defeat Wang Hao in 10 moves. They thought that this young man was out of his mind. Destruction Seal. Longao didn't intend to use the seal after the destruction seal. After all, with his current strength, he could only cultivate the first 4 seals. The first 4 seals of the destruction seal were the soul suppressing seal, inferno seal, sky burying seal, and doomsday seal. Longao couldn't figure out why the 5th seal didn't have a name when the first 4 seals had names. He had asked Long Fu this question before, but Long Fu's answer was simple, I don't know. This made Longao frustrated for a long time. The terrifying power of the seals was instantly unleashed. One seal after another, the 4 seals were unleashed simultaneously. Longao, I have to admit that you are very powerful. However, I will show you what the Supreme Sword principle is. At this moment, a sword suddenly appeared in Wang Hao's hand. It was a divine sword that was emitting a beautiful light. Divine Sword Green Destiny. As expected, just as Longao had guessed, the divine sword in Wang Hao's hand was the Wang family's treasure, the divine sword Green Destiny. Countless people exclaimed when the green hades appeared. After all, the Wang family's divine sword Green Destiny was too famous. Longao was doomed. The Trash's master was doomed. When Wang Hao took out the divine sword Longming, everyone had already sentenced Longao to death. And at this time, Wang Hao's eyes focused. Suddenly, a ray of light like the sun that illuminated the earth burst out from his body and directly integrated into the divine sword Qingming. Supreme Sword Principle, a martial skill that Wang Hao had comprehended after countless life and death experiences. Chapter 556. Longao could clearly feel just how terrifying his opponent's move was. Self-created martial skill, Supreme Sword Dao. Longao was well aware that only a self-created martial skill would be the most suitable for him. At the same time, self-created martial skills were also the most powerful. He didn't dare to be careless. He originally wanted to demonstrate the Annihilation Seal to Long Heng, but Longao never imagined that he would see such a heaven-gifted genius on Cloud Island. Self-created martial skill, Heaven and Earth Morn. Self-created martial skill against self-created martial skill. Everyone was left dumbfounded. With himself as the center, Longao began to spin, instantly forming a giant tornado that seemed capable of sweeping through the world. And at this time, Wang Hao had already raised Blue Destiny Divine Sword high up in the air. This seemingly casual sword strike was actually a super martial skill that Wang Hao had spent 10 years to create. Blue Hades shot out a heaven-shaking sword light, ready to erupt at any moment. As for the tornado formed by Longao's spinning, it was ready to erupt at any moment. Move. At the same time, the two of them moved. Supreme Sword Dao. Heaven and Earth Morn. The two self-created martial skills fiercely collided. With a stuffy cough, Longao's body swayed, as if he would fall at any moment. But he forcefully withstood it. The tornado vanished. Longao stood where he was, safe and sound. As for Wang Hao, he also forcefully withstood it. You won. I didn't win and you didn't lose. We are tied. Longao wouldn't take advantage of his opponent. This was because he was well aware that if it weren't for the tornado covering him, he would have already lost. He couldn't help but admit that the Supreme Sword Dao that Wang Hao comprehended was far too formidable. If it were an ordinary great venerable martial artist, or even an early world king, if they weren't careful then they might have been cut down by this sword. Supreme Sword Dao was comparable to heaven and earth morning. Both sides were tied. Everyone was dissatisfied with this result. This was because Wang Hao was the #1 master of Cloud Island. But now, he was tied with an outsider and also the master of trash. Who could accept this result? Since you and I are tied, then the grudges between you and the Wang family can be written off. You are very good. I believe that you didn't use your full strength just now. I look forward to the time when we can truly fight. Same to you. I also look forward to it. Longao didn't speak any more nonsense. He turned and quickly left with Long Heng. Wang Hao, who was standing on top of the thunderbolt, seemed very curious. He muttered to himself, could he be one too? Looking at Longao and his son who had already left, Long Bai smiled meaningfully. This made Long Qian very curious. She asked, Father, what are you smiling about? It's fine. If nothing unexpected happens, your big brother will rise up very soon. Hearing her father's words, Long Qian was curious. She didn't know what was going on with her father. Was her big brother starting to get lucky? Longao didn't choose to return to the Long family. With his fastest speed, he brought Long Heng away from everyone and found a shabby inn to stay for the time being. Before Long Heng could ask, Longao said, I will look for you later. Remember, don't run around for the next 2 days. My injuries have worsened and I need to recover as soon as possible. Master, do you need my help? No need. Without speaking any more nonsense, Longao immediately entered his room and sat down on the floor. As he said, Longao's injuries had worsened. This was because from start to finish, he never imagined that he would encounter such a heaven-gifted genius at this time. Moreover, this genius had created his own Supreme Sword Dao. Longao knew very well that if he was at his peak, he wouldn't be afraid of Wang Hao at all. Even if he created his own martial technique, he believed that his Supreme Sword Dao wouldn't be a match for heaven and earth sorrow. However, the problem now was that his injuries were very serious. Moreover, he had forcefully suppressed his realm at the beginning. As a result, heaven and earth sorrow wasn't even 1/3 of its usual power. It was obvious that heaven and earth sorrow wouldn't be able to withstand the Supreme Sword Dao. Moreover, Longao hadn't merged with the aura of heaven and earth. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in such a state. Not daring to hesitate, Longao immediately began to recuperate. He circulated the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique and used the power of yin and yang to form a cycle in his body. Ever since the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique broke through to the 2nd revolution, Longao discovered a magical effect. No matter how serious his injuries were, as long as he circulated the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique, he could recover in the shortest time possible. This time, his injuries were more serious. Longao roughly calculated that even with the help of the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique, he would need at least 10 days or even longer to recover. Inside the Dragon Seal space. Long Fu, what did you just say? Wang Hao is a rebirth realm martial artist? Nodding, Long Fu said, Master, I've already sensed it. This Wang Hao is indeed a rebirth realm martial artist. Moreover, he has already awakened his consciousness. Therefore, his cultivation speed is 10 times faster than ordinary geniuses. Even the Supreme Sword Dao he uses is integrated with the martial techniques of his previous life. 10 times faster? Longao was shocked. However, after thinking about it, he felt that it was acceptable. After all, a rebirth realm martial artist had to risk being obliterated by the reincarnation path to forcefully preserve a trace of consciousness. It could be said to be extremely dangerous. The slightest bit of carelessness would cause one's body and soul to be destroyed. Long Fu, I want to ask, what realm martial artist can reincarnate after death? As long as you are a warrior, you can enter the reincarnation cycle, but you will be destroyed by the reincarnation path. Only when you have broken through the Supreme Dao and become a Supreme Dao can you enter the reincarnation path and leave behind a trace of your consciousness. Even so, Not every Supreme Tao warrior can do it, not even 1 in 10,000. Nodding, Longao now finally knew why Wang Hao was so powerful. Master, if possible, you'd better not provoke this person because you don't know when this person will fully awaken. If that's the case, Master, you'll be in big trouble. I know what I'm doing. Hearing that Wang Hao was actually a rebirth realm martial artist, Longao instantly became serious. Just as Long Fu said, to preserve one's consciousness, one had to be a Supreme Tao martial artist. In other words, Wang Hao's original body in his previous life was a Supreme Tao martial artist. Once he awakened, he would become a Supreme Tao martial artist. At that time, not to mention himself, even 1,000 of himself would not be a match for him. Long Fu, there's one thing I don't understand. If a Supreme Tao martial artist reincarnates, once he awakens, will his strength be able to reach the level of his original body in his previous life? Master, I know what you mean. Without exception, once a Supreme Tao martial artist reincarnates successfully and becomes a rebirth realm martial artist, his cultivation will surpass his original body in his previous life. The more times he reincarnates, the stronger his strength will be. Some Supreme Tao martial artists, in order to break through to a higher realm, will risk their lives to enter the reincarnation path and become a rebirth realm martial artist. P.S. Tonight we'll continue to update, chapter by chapter. If you're willing to wait, you can wait. Chapter 557. Nodding his head, Longao was not surprised at all. 5 realms of Supreme Tao. Longao knew that some Supreme Tao warriors would try all kinds of ways to break through to a higher realm if they could not do so for a long time. As for the divine soul entering the path of reincarnation, unless the Supreme Tao warrior had no other way, no one would do such a thing. Master, there is one thing that I don't know if I should tell you. Say it. Hearing this, Longao did not know why, but his heart skipped a beat, as if Long Fu was hiding something from him. Ever since he met Long Fu, Longao knew that Long Fu had never been like this. It seemed that this matter was not simple. What was it? Thinking back and forth, Longao also did not come up with a reason. Master, your ancestor, Long Batian, is actually a reincarnation realm warrior. Long Fu, are you joking with me? Seeing Long Fu nodding his head, Longao was shocked to the extreme because he had always thought that the ancestor was a divine soul. According to Long Fu, the ancestor had already awakened his divine soul and achieved the Supreme Tao. Longao knew that if the ancestor was really a reincarnation realm warrior, then his current strength would be more terrifying than his previous life. Master, I believe you have already guessed it. Yes, your ancestor has indeed awakened his divine soul, but it has not been completely awakened. Therefore, Long Batian's current strength is only equivalent to a junior divine realm warrior. Junior divine realm warrior, according to the ancestor's talent, it would be a piece of cake for him to completely awaken his divine soul. Until now, Longao still could not believe it. No matter what, the ancestor's successful reincarnation and successful awakening of his divine soul was always a blessing for the family. The reason was simple. Once the Dragon Sect and Long family had peak Heavenly God realm martial artists, not to mention the 4 major forces, even the Long family, WN Shou sect, and Heaven and Earth sect would have to think twice before attacking the Dragon Sect and Long family. He did not continue to dwell on the ancestor's matter, because whether the ancestor was a samsara warrior or had awakened or not, it was a good thing for him and his family. There was no harm in doing so. After leaving the Dragon Seal space, Longao immersed himself in recovery. For 3 whole days, Longao did not leave his room. At this moment, the Cloud Island was in an uproar. Everyone knew that the master of the trash of the Longao clan had fought to a draw with Wang Hao. Furthermore, Longao looked less than 20 years old. What kind of concept was that? Everyone was very curious about Longao's background. When they heard that he was from the 9 prefectures, they became even more curious. It turned out that the 9 prefectures were too far away from the outer sea. Powerful warriors might be able to do so, but ordinary warriors would not be able to do so. Therefore, Some people would never be able to leave the island and the outer sea to explore the 9 prefectures for the rest of their lives. It was precisely because of this that countless people in the outer islands were very curious about the 9 provinces. They wanted to know more about the 9 provinces from Longao. However, after that battle, Longao seemed to have disappeared from the face of the earth. No one had seen Longao in person ever since. Longao had disappeared, but the Long family had suffered. Whether it was the Yi family or the Wang family, everyone else had rushed into the Long family, wanting to see this Longao. However, the Long family had closed their doors and refused to see anyone. No matter who it was, they were not allowed to take a single step into the Long family. No matter what, the Long family was still one of the 3 great families of the Cloud Island. Forget about ordinary people, even the Yi family and the Wang family did not dare to casually step into the Long family. Long family, main hall. Long Bai sat at the head of the table with an indifferent expression on his face. He listened to Long Ling and Long Fan's nagging, but no one knew whether he had heard them or not. Eldest uncle, Longao does not care about the Long family at all. I suggest that we immediately kill Longao. Long Bai waved his hand. He finally could not bear to listen any longer. He said helplessly, I already understand what you mean, but I can tell you that the Long family cannot agree to your request. Why is that, eldest uncle? Both Long Ling and Long Fan's faces instantly turned ugly when they heard that their uncle had rejected them. After all, the powerful strength that Longao had displayed had deeply shocked both of them. The 2 of them were not idiots. They knew very well that if Long Heng had such a powerful master by his side, even if they did not go looking for trouble, what would they do if Long Heng came looking for trouble with them? As long as they borrowed the Long family's strength to kill Longao, then Long Heng would still be useless in the future. They could still trample on Long Heng whenever they wanted. Do I need to explain the Long family's decision to the 2 of you? The 2 of them shuddered when they heard their eldest uncle's cold voice. It was only at this moment that the 2 of them finally realized that their eldest uncle was not only their eldest uncle, he was also the family head. Leave. Long Ling and Long Fan did not waste any more words and slowly retreated. Long Bai was the only one left in the main hall. At this time, Long Bai's expression was unreadable as he muttered to himself, Longao, I really did not expect that you would end up here. At this moment, Long Bai finally knew who Longao was. Ever since Longao had appeared, Long Bai had contacted the 9 states and obtained all the information he could about Longao in the shortest amount of time possible. It was also because of this that Long Bai was very shocked. He had never imagined that the master of the dragon sect, Longao, the youth who had defied the 4 great forces, would suddenly appear on Cloud Island in the outer sea. More importantly, Longao's relationship with his son was very good. His son had even taken Longao as his master. Longao, I hope that you won't disappoint me. In the main hall of the Wang family, one of the 3 great families of Cloud Island, Wang Luo's complexion was simply gloomy to the extreme. It was as unsightly as it could be because he never would have thought that Longao would be able to fight against Wang Hao. Moreover, it was a draw. Old ancestor, should we continue to deal with Longao? Old ancestor? If outsiders heard that the Wang family's patriarch, Wang Luo, was calling Wang Hao old ancestor, who knew what they would think? Just as Longao had guessed, Wang Hao was the reincarnation of a supreme Dao martial artist and was also the only supreme Dao martial artist in the Wang family. Back then, for some reason, he had no choice but to choose to enter the path of reincarnation with his divine soul. Fortunately, Wang Hao successfully awakened his divine soul. However, Wang Hao had yet to truly awaken his spirit. Otherwise, he would be a divine practitioner right now. Since Longao's matter has been clarified, there is no need for us to provoke him. As long as he doesn't provoke us. Old ancestor, I'm just afraid that Longao's sudden appearance on Cloud Island in the outer sea has other motives. I will keep an eye on this matter. As I said before, as long as Longao doesn't provoke us, we won't provoke him. Do you understand? No matter how unwilling he was in his heart, Wang Luo had no choice since the old ancestor had spoken. Chapter 558. After resting for 3 days, Longao managed to suppress his injuries. He still had to rely on the 9 revolving reincarnation technique. Master, are you all right? In the inn, Longheng asked impatiently when he saw his master appear. Longao waved his hand and smiled. My injuries are fine now. At this moment, Longao noticed that Longheng's expression was not right. He asked curiously, Longheng, what happened? Master, 3 days ago, the battle between you and Wang Hao caused an uproar in the entire Cloud Island. Everyone is talking about you. Regarding this point, Longao had long guessed it. However, Longao knew that things were not that simple. Otherwise, Longheng would not have reacted this way. Master, the Sacred Mountain already knows about you. What's the Sacred Mountain? This was the first time Longao had heard of the Sacred Mountain since he entered the Cloud Island. However, his instincts told him that the Sacred Mountain was not simple. Could it be that the Sacred Mountain was above the 3 big families? Just as expected. Master, I believe you have already guessed it. That's right, the Sacred Mountain is the true overlord of the Cloud Island. They are above the 3 big families. Legend has it that there are many illusionary divine martial artists in the Sacred Mountain. Hence, it is called the Sacred Mountain. I see. Even so, what does this have to do with me? Longheng was even more worried when he saw that his master did not care about the Sacred Mountain at all. He said, Master, we should keep a low profile during this period of time. The news that you are from the 9 regions has spread throughout the Cloud Island. The Sacred Mountain has rejected you. Nonsense. Longao was very unhappy and said, You're really meddling in other people's business. Whether I'm from the 9 states or not, it's none of the Sacred Mountain's business. Moreover, who said that the Cloud Island belongs to the Sacred Mountain? Longheng was shocked when he heard his master's arrogant words. He immediately said softly, Master, the walls have ears. Be careful not to be heard. If the Sacred Mountain finds out, we will be in big trouble. Longao was speechless when he saw how careful Longheng was. Longheng did not mock Longao. In Longheng's opinion, although his master was very strong and could even fight Wang Hao to a draw, he was still too young. As the saying goes, everyone has been young and frivolous before. Moreover, Longheng had always believed that his master had just arrived at the Cloud Island and didn't know about the situation there. If his master knew about the terrifying power of the Saint Mountain, he believed that he wouldn't be like this. With just a glance at Longheng, Longao already knew what Longheng was thinking. Tell me more about the Sacred Mountain. Longao didn't say it out loud because he knew that no matter how low-key he was, if the Sacred Mountain wanted to find trouble, they would find trouble everywhere. It didn't matter if you were low-key or not. In that case, why should he fear the Sacred Mountain? Master, there are 3 big clans on Cloud Island. But above the 3 big clans is Saint Mountain. It is said that there is a heavenly saint in Saint Mountain. As for whether it is true or not, no one knows. The 8 realms of the illusionary divine were divided into the half-sage realm, earth sage realm, heavenly sage realm, king sage realm, holy king realm, holy venerate realm, and holy emperor realm. A heavenly saint was already considered a very strong existence. If what Longheng said was true and there was a heavenly saint in Saint Mountain, then things would be troublesome. Longao knew very well that even if there was a sage or earth sage in Saint Mountain, he wouldn't be a match for them, let alone a heavenly saint. It was also because of this that Longao re-evaluated the strength of the numerous islands in the outer seas. A small island like Cloud Island was already so powerful. If all the islands in the outer seas were to be added together, it would be terrifying. Now that he thought about it, the land of the 9 regions couldn't be compared to the outer seas. Longheng, you're trying to tell me that the Sacred Mountain has already noticed me, right? Yes, Master. You may not know, but Saint Mountain has been suppressing the 3 big clans for so many years, especially the Wang family. Now that you are from the land of the 9 regions, Saint Mountain will naturally go against you. Suppressing the Wang family? With regards to this, Longao couldn't understand. Since Saint Mountain was filled with experts, Why didn't they know that Wang Hao was a rebirth realm martial artist? Even if Wang Hao hid his identity well and the Sacred Mountain did not know that he was a reincarnation realm warrior, Wang Hao was very high profile and talented. Would the Sacred Mountain not care about such a danger? This didn't seem to make sense. Longao didn't tell Long Heng about his doubts. Longao knew that Long Heng definitely didn't know what he didn't know. Even though Long Heng was from the Cloud Island, he knew that Long Heng definitely didn't know. If we don't provoke Saint Mountain better not provoke me. Long Heng didn't know what his master meant. Instead, he asked, "Master, what do we do next?" "Refine pills." "Refine pills?" "That's right, Long Heng. I won't stay on Cloud Island for long because I still have many things to do in the land of the 9 regions. Therefore, I'm going to impart to you what I know about alchemy as soon as possible. As for how far you can go, it depends on you. However, with your comprehension and talent, you can at least become an emperor-level alchemist." An emperor-level alchemist was a realm that countless alchemists dreamed of breaking through. However, at this moment, Long Heng didn't feel happy at all. "Master, when are you going to leave?" "I don't know, but at the very least, I'll have to wait until my injuries are completely healed. During this time, you should focus on refining pills. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask." "Master, will you take me with you when the time comes?" "I don't know." Longao really didn't know. After all, this was the Outer Sea and it was very far away from the land of the 9 regions. Even if he didn't bring Long Heng with him, he didn't have full confidence that he could return to the land of the 9 regions smoothly. "Long Heng, even if you can't leave with me this time, you have to cultivate well, especially in alchemy. I need you very much. I will definitely come back in the future." Although he was reluctant to leave his master, Long Heng knew that his master had his own difficulties. Therefore, he didn't continue to dwell on it. Instead, he asked, "Master, do we continue to stay here or return to the family?" "Return to the Long family." In alchemy, peace was the most important thing. There were all kinds of people coming and going. If they were unlucky and met an expert, things would be troublesome. Long Heng nodded and didn't have any objections. The two immediately got up and walked back to the family. However, they were very careful. No matter what, Longao was now a celebrity on Cloud Island. They believed that many people would pay attention to him. As for Long Heng, he was a celebrity himself. Chapter 559. Longao and Long Heng immediately began refining pills the moment they stepped into the Long family. Longao was very curious about the Long family. He didn't know what kind of tricks they were playing. Under normal circumstances, the Long family should already know that he and Wang Hao had fought to a draw. If that was the case, why did the Long family act as if nothing had happened when he and Long Heng entered? It was also because of this that Longao had a new understanding of the Long family. Long Heng was very infatuated with alchemy. Especially with Longao's help, he was even more obsessed. The next day, dusk. Longao, master of the dragon sect in the Sky Province. In just a little over a year, you've risen to power and successfully counterattacked the 4 great forces, inflicting heavy losses on them. I'm very curious, why did Master Long come to the Cloud Island of the Outer Sea? Great Hall of the Dragon Sect. Longao hadn't said a word from beginning to end. This was because he realized that the Long family head in front of him wasn't simple at all. Before he knew it, the Long family head had already found out everything about him. If they were in the 9 states or the Outer Sea, he wouldn't be surprised at all if Longbai asked about him. However, the problem now was that the 9 states and the Outer Sea were very far apart. It wasn't easy to get news in a short period of time. Longao had a good impression of Longbai, but it wasn't because Longbai was Long Heng's father. "Master Long, I can understand why you don't want to answer. However, I really want to know if you came to the Cloud Island for any reason. Long family head, you and I both belong to the Long family, and I am also Long Heng's master. Therefore, we can speak frankly. I came to the Cloud Island by chance. If Long Heng hadn't saved me, I believe that I wouldn't even know about the Cloud Island. Long Heng was naturally aware of this point. Master Long, the sacred mountain has been paying attention to your fight with Wang Hao. I believe that you also know about the sacred mountain's matters. Long Bai didn't continue to dwell on Longao's identity or anything else. He knew very well what he should and shouldn't ask. Sacred Mountain. Patriarch Long, Saint Mountain has nothing to do with me. I am just a passerby to Cloud Island. If it wasn't for Long Heng, I might have already left. Therefore, I don't want to get involved in Saint Mountain. Before Long Bai could say anything, Longao continued, Patriarch Long, for Long Heng's sake, I would like to remind you to be careful of the Wang family, especially Wang Hao. Long Bai's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. If someone else had said this to him, he would have scoffed. However, the person who had said this to him was Longao. Master Dragon, can you be more specific? Shaking his head, Longao did not intend to tell anyone that Wang Hao was a Rebirth Realm warrior. He was just a passerby to the Cloud Island. Once he had imparted all his knowledge of alchemy to Long Heng, he would leave the Cloud Island and the Outer Sea to return to the 9 continents. Perhaps he would return to the Outer Sea in the future to explore the so-called Outer Sea, but not now. No matter what, he had to return to the 9 continents. He still did not know what had happened to the 9 continents since the beast tide had invaded. Patriarch Long, in everyone's eyes, Long Heng is just a piece of trash. Am I right? Master Longao waved his hand. There was no need for Long Bai to say anything. He already knew what Long Bai was thinking. When he looked at Long Bai, Longao already knew that the patriarch of the Long family doted on Long Heng a lot. Otherwise, he would not have shown so much concern for Long Heng. Longao was well aware of what Long Bai was thinking. Unfortunately, Long Bai's thoughts were pitiful. The reason why Long Heng's cultivation has stagnated is not because of his talent. I know that. Master Long, have you found the reason? Long Bai was overjoyed. Long Bai was no fool. He knew that Longao must have found something. Could his son really be able to turn the tables? If that was true, he would be willing to give up 10 years of his life. It was still the same saying, the pity of all parents. Longao nodded. He did not want to tell the Long family anything about Long Heng, but the moment he saw Long Bai, he changed his mind and said, Patriarch Long, Long Heng is 1 in a million, and one of the rarest lightning constitutions in the world. When he was struck by lightning, he instantly awakened it. Not only is Long Heng not a piece of trash, he is also a cultivation genius. As expected. Long Bai let out a long sigh of relief and said, for the past 3 years, I have never dared to face him. Fortunately, Heng met you. Otherwise, Longao did not blame Long Bai because he already knew the ins and outs of the matter. Long Heng's cultivation had stagnated, and Long Bai had tried everything he could but to no avail. In the end, Long Bai had chosen to give up on his son. Longao knew that although Long Bai seemed to have given up, it was actually because he could not face his son. In the end, Long Bai was not in the wrong. What was wrong was that fate made fools of people. Everything is in the past. If nothing unexpected happens, Long Heng's cultivation speed will greatly increase from now on. In less than a year, he will be able to break through to the illusionary divine stage. Long Bai's body trembled when he heard this. He knew what the illusionary divine stage meant. If his family could produce an illusionary divine stage cultivator, then even the Holy Mountain would have to be wary of his family, let alone the other 2 great families. However, Long Bai still did not believe this. Even his master had not broken through to the illusionary divine stage. Would he let his disciple break through to the illusionary divine stage first? Everyone knew that Longao was only a peak great venerable. He had not even reached the world king level, let alone the illusionary divine stage. Longao knew what Long Bai was thinking, but he did not try to explain himself. Sometimes, the truth trumped everything. There was no point in talking nonsense. Master Long, you can stay in the Long family during this time. I believe that the Wang family will not dare to cause trouble for you. Longao did not stand on ceremony. He nodded, said a word of thanks, and left. Long Bai was the only one left in the hall. It was quiet. Suddenly, an old man walked out from behind him. Longbai immediately said respectfully, "Uncle, why have you come out?" "He is Longao." "That's right." Longbai was very respectful towards his uncle. Besides being his biological uncle, he was also a powerful world emperor and the #1 expert in the family. It was because of his uncle that the Long family was able to become one of the 3 great families of the Cloud Island. This child is extraordinary. No matter what, we must build a good relationship with him. We must not offend him. Longbai was very surprised to hear his uncle's words. After all, he had never heard his uncle praise anyone like this before. Chapter 560. Ever since he returned to the Long family, Longao had been in seclusion and focused on concocting pills. Longao knew that there was only one way for Longheng to awaken his lightning physique and increase his cultivation speed, and that was to rely on the stimulation of pills. This type of lightning pill was extremely difficult to concoct. Even with Longao's level of understanding and skills, he only managed to concoct one pill after spending an entire day and night. After Longheng consumed the pill, he immediately went into seclusion to cultivate. 10 days later, Longheng opened his eyes in surprise. His face was filled with excitement and his entire body seemed to be trembling because of it. Longheng could not wait any longer. He immediately went to find Longao and said excitedly, "Master, thank you. Thank you so much. After consuming the pill that you concocted, my cultivation has directly broken through from the honorable realm to the peak of the great honored realm." Longheng had never imagined that his cultivation would improve so much this time, leaping to the peak of the great venerable realm. Didn't this mean that he was now at the same level as Wang Hao? Longao was not surprised at all and nodded his head indifferently. "Master, aren't you excited?" Longheng felt as though someone had poured a bucket of cold water on him. He was still extremely excited just a moment ago, but now, he felt as though he had done the right thing and no one was praising him. Longheng wanted to be praised by his master for his breakthrough in cultivation. After all, he had never heard of such a breakthrough from the honorable realm to the peak of the great honored realm. With your lightning physique and talent, as well as your 3 years of cultivation, it is within my expectations that you would be able to make a breakthrough now. If you can continue to cultivate for another year, it will not be difficult for you to break through to the illusionary divine realm. Illusionary divine realm? If his master had said this to him 10 days ago, Longheng would definitely not have believed him. But now, there was a living example in front of him and he had personally experienced it. "Master, if this is the case, does it mean that I have no chance of breaking through to the illusionary divine realm?" Longheng sighed deeply. However, it was already good enough for him to break through to the peak of the great honored realm. Longheng knew that if he had not met his master, he would never have been able to reach the great honored realm. With a smile, Longao suddenly said, "Although your cultivation speed is a little slow, I believe that your future cultivation speed will increase. If nothing goes wrong, you should be able to break through to the illusionary divine stage within a year." "Master, is what you said true? Are you trying to trick me? Is it necessary?" At this moment, Longheng would not doubt Longao. Whatever Longao said, he would believe it. As such, when Longheng heard that he would be able to break through to the illusionary divine stage within a year, he was extremely excited. His entire face was flushed with excitement. "Fourth young master, the patriarch has invited you and senior Longao to the main hall." Longheng, who was in the midst of his excitement, suddenly heard his subordinate's voice. He was very curious as to why his father had called for him at this time. "Master, since your father has invited us, let's pay him a visit. In any case, we haven't left his side for the past few days." If it was an ordinary person, Longao might not have gone. However, no matter what, Longbai was still Longheng's father. As the saying went, even if it was not for the sake of the monk, it was for the sake of the Buddha. When the two of them arrived at the main hall, they saw that there were only 3 people in the main hall. The patriarch of the Long family, Longbai, was seated on the right-hand side. As for the main seat, there were 2 middle-aged men, one fat and one skinny, who gave off a very arrogant feeling. "Master, be careful. These two people should be from the Holy Mountain." Holy Mountain? Longao did not expect the Holy Mountain to personally send people here for him. They must have nothing better to do. The reason why Longao guessed this was because Long Bai did not look for anyone but himself and Long Heng. This in itself was enough to explain the situation. Seeing the two of them enter, Luo Fei and Su Yi did not even bother to look at them. Their arrogant looks made Long Heng feel extremely annoyed. If not for his fear of the Holy Mountain, Long Heng would have already attacked them. "You are Long Ao?" Ignoring the two of them, Long Ao directly sat on the right-hand side and looked at Long Bai. He asked, "May I know why the patriarch of the Long family has asked me to come here today?" Ignoring the two envoys of the Holy Mountain scared Long Bai so much that his heart skipped a beat. However, he still replied, "Master Long, these two are the envoys of the Holy Mountain. They have come here to discuss something with you." "You are Long Ao?" "Whether I am Long Ao or not, what does that have to do with you? If you were arrogant, then I was even more arrogant." Long Ao was such a person. If the two saints were fine, then perhaps he would be normal. However, the two of them were as arrogant as ever. Long Ao did not like them at all. If not for the fact that he was afraid that the Long family would be implicated, he would not have even spoken to them. "You are very arrogant, brat." The two of them were not angry at all, because the two of them did not put Long Ao in their eyes from the beginning to the end. The Holy Mountain was the true overlord of Cloud Island and was above the three great families. It was because of this that the Holy Mountain's words were absolute on Cloud Island and no one dared to provoke them. Thus, the two of them were extremely arrogant. Let alone Long Ao, an outsider who had just entered Cloud Island, they did not even place the patriarch of the Long family in their eyes. It had to be known that the patriarch of the Long family, Long Bai, who was also Long Heng's father, was a true world king master. As for the two envoys of the Holy Mountain, they were only earth sovereigns. Even so, the two of them were still arrogant. This was the importance of having a backer. Whether I am arrogant or not is none of your business. If you have something to say, then say it. I don't have the time to accompany you two idiots. Long Ao did not give the two of them any face at all. Not to mention that they were envoys of the Holy Mountain, even if they were ordinary people, they would not let such an insult go. "Long Ao, you are courting death. Saints, please do not be impatient. Master Long has just arrived at Cloud Island and does not know the rules of Cloud Island. Please forgive me." Long Bai and Long Heng were depressed to the extreme. The two of them could not figure out why Long Ao was so overbearing. No matter how they looked at it, the other party was still an envoy sent by the Holy Mountain. If he dared to disrespect two saints, it was clear that he did not place the Holy Mountain in his eyes. Long Bai was well aware of Long Ao's background. But the problem was that this was Cloud Island in the outer seas, not the 9-province continent. If the Holy Mountain really wanted to deal with him, how could he fight back? However, Long Ao simply ignored the two of them and stared at the two so-called emissaries of the sacred mountain. He then said coldly, "I will say this for the last time. If you have something to say it quickly. If you have fart, say it quickly. I don't have time to talk nonsense with the two of you who have nothing better to do. The sacred mountain is really better than meeting in person." Long Ao's meaning was very clear. He was provoking them. The two envoys were not idiots. They naturally knew what he meant. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.